gonna have a whole board set up for next time.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the ChazmaN podcast, where, as always, this is your favorite place to hear terrible, terrible sounds ruining an entire show happening in the background.
I
Um,
just think metal that he just showed the new Discord soundboard feature to us 2 seconds before you press stream. So how
yeah,
can you fault us for it, Chaz? Come
we're,
on.
this is the most professional podcast on YouTube. On screen, there should be some audio locations there to check us out, and then, as always, on the socials, that is there. Aren't you guys glad we're back after a month?
Oh, I'm sure they've already all unsubscribed at this point.
You're like, oh, these guys are dead.
I'm in
Bye.
I'm in the negative subscriber count now, if there is a such thing.
Anywho,
Yeah.
That's all we learned
how's
in
life been?
that's all we learned in a month. Just a soundboard.
Well, we learned that in the past 5 seconds. That means we haven't learned anything this past
Yeah,
month.
basically. So how have you guys
A
been?
long time no see.
Yeah.
Yeah, tired.
That's what we always say. We're always tired.
Apparently that month
Yeah.
for these guys has been very busy, very brutal. So I don't know. I let them have a bit of time for themselves, right?
Yeah. So for me, August is just like one of the busiest times. Like I don't think I've ever really talked too much about one of my jobs, but I'm involved in academics, so it gets a little busy around the August time frame. So starting to level out a little bit. We'll see how this next month kind of plays out. Granted, Starfield is also out, so that's also going to eat up the rest of my time. So
Tomorrow for me. What about you,
how about you,
gamer?
Metal? How you been?
Okay, just taking care of baby and learning new things and trying not to, hang myself.
Get closer to your mic. Get closer to your mic a little bit, gamer.
I'll get
Maybe
closer to-
don't if you're going to be so dark like that. My
Oh.
goodness.
No, I'm kidding. No, it's been interesting. I'm just looking for work. Oh, that's really what it is. Just trying different things, and just kind of playing shows and trying to figure out myself. So far so good.
Very
Yeah.
very introspective.
My job's not exactly stable either. That's why I'm trying to run through all the vacation time I have in case I don't have it. But we feel
enough.
for you, gamer. So,
Man, what a way to start this thing out with a bang with the
so clearly that means we've all had plenty of time to play lots of video juegos over the last
right.
month.
Get out of here.
So I don't know. Do we want to go right into a game? Who wants to go first? Who wants to show their
got like 10 of them.
their project to the class?
Okay.
I'll tell you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I might as well. So I have started playing Final Fantasy 16.
Ooh,
Granted, I just haven't put in so much hours. I want to. I'm going to. So, and I'm getting really sucked into the story. So I'm really liking the gameplay. I'm really enjoying the narrative so far. The gameplay is nice and fast. I really like it. Did you put it as active as well?
Because there was only two options, right? There was
Yeah, it's like story mode and then active mode.
I
think it
did the
was.
harder one, whichever one.
There's a harder one.
And I will. Well, there's two. There's like narrative, and then there's active, like you said. There's
Yeah,
only
I
two
like
like
the active.
difficulty options.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, you can still run through the story pretty good. But I like the in-game cinematics and all that fun stuff. I think they really played it really nicely.
Well, the game is really fast because I don't know if you ever found out, but the guy that came on to, I think he was one of the main directors of this game. He worked on Devil May Cry. He was like the Devil May Cry creator guy. So that's why the combat is like
The creator guy.
creator guy. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was a producer or
He was
creative
a,
lead
I'm sure
or
he was
something.
a creative director.
Yeah.
They're probably next to Yoshi P.
So I think I'd asked this, I think, Chaz, when he first brought up Final Fantasy 16 a couple of weeks ago. But I know you've played a lot more Final Fantasy. Do you feel like the departure from kind of the traditional RPG elements is pulling you away from it at all? Are you okay with that change? Because at least on the offset, just kind of looking at it, that's what's kind of turned me off to it. It's just hearing that it's no squad-based, party-based system. Like the RPG elements are pseudo non-existent in some cases. Like, have you seen that or felt that?
Well, you do play as Clive, so
Mm.
and 100% of it is just Clive. And you know what? With as much as is going on, it's kind of nice to just only focus on one person,
I agree.
like
Mm.
Mm.
realistically. When you play Final Fantasy VII, however, on the other hand, you have to constantly be bouncing from player to player, strategizing on what to do, how to work things due to their power levels, etc., etc. Over 9,000.
Right.
Anyway, so like with this one, you're just focusing on him. It's like dumbed down a little bit more, but then
I
it
think it's
has
dumbed
a
down
really
a lot
interesting.
more, in my
It
opinion.
it is like
Like, do
for a
you have
traditional.
impactful stats or anything, or is it really
Oh yeah,
just, you know?
you
Okay.
have traditional like RPG stats. Do you have anything that can like buff them? Not
No,
necessarily, except for like your weapons.
but
Like your weapons and armor.
but to the weapons and armor, the stats are very simplistic. It's literally just you
Yeah,
look at your weapons, what has the highest number? Oh, that's what I should
pretty
put on.
much. Like
It's
it's
like,
that's as old school as you can
hmm
get.
but with the old school
Like
games, remember they had like the materia system where like you yourself controlled what could be stronger and different. I don't know, but I don't want to
yeah.
cut you off.
No, that's true. You're right. The other ones had the material system. Other games had, other types of systems that make the weaponry a little bit more I don't know, more robust, you could say. But in this game, it doesn't have any of that stuff. But they do have the pseudo crafting system. It seems there you can like you collect items so you can be able to craft new weapons and stuff like that. But it's nothing crazy. You don't just go ahead and just make
Well,
stuff.
well,
It's just whatever's available to you.
it's even like with the upgrading aspect. Gosh, I don't know how far you are you in. Have you met a certain character from previous games yet?
You mean like Sid?
Yeah, so you've met
Yeah,
Sid and you've been
yeah, I'm with Sid right now.
to the because he has they have their own hideaway place.
Yeah, yeah, they have like a
Okay,
hub, and yeah, that's where it is. That's you get to do your own like I don't know.
but I
It's interesting.
but I was gonna say the upgrading because there is a blacksmith and there is a lady there who you go to them to upgrade. It's still super simplistic because the easiest way is just like you go to the blacksmith. I think his name's Blackthorn or something, and
Yeah,
like it's just like keep upgrading the highest weapon you have, which
yeah.
it's like
It's like
I don't
old
know,
school.
yeah.
So it's like so as long as you have the items to craft it, he will do it for you.
Hmm.
Otherwise, obviously he won't. So they tell you that early on, which is nice. At least for the bare minimum, everything's really up front and pretty cut and dry, to be honest with you. Um, really, this game is really all about narrative.
Hmm.
Yeah, it seems like it's very much
Heavily,
just a spectacle, narrative driven, and that's kind of it. Which I mean, I
yeah,
guess not a bad thing. I just maybe I'm just being I don't know, traditionalist with the Final Fantasy. I'm not saying it has to
yeah,
be exactly the same, but I don't know. It's not what I was wanting to hear out of the game. Not saying I won't enjoy it. I think I'm just gonna have to be in a different mindset to get into something like that. I don't know. When I hear Final Fantasy, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a long, in depth, strategic endeavor where we're
yeah.
dealing with all the different elemental
It
stuff and
is
materia systems, and it doesn't sound like we're going to get that.
it,
And I'm sure
it
there's other games. Maybe Baldur's Gate will
yeah.
fill that slot better. I don't know.
It is by no means again my opinion. I don't think it's really that hard of a game. I mean, I think I died, and I'm the ChazmaN, and I died like maybe 3 times throughout my entire playthrough of a Final
That's
Fantasy
actually
game.
pretty
That's
good.
yeah,
I
that's
mean, I
not
haven't died yet, but I mean, I have no, no,
Humble jab right
realistically,
there.
no. I'm just saying, like, I haven't died yet. Just one of the first things you fight is a Marlboro.
yeah. That those are always fun.
Which they call a marble. Which
Which
everyone
I
knows
will
a
say,
marble.
how I died, all 3 ways were the exact same reason. It's because the game's easy, so I easily got sucked into just not even looking at my health, and that's how I died. Is
Oh, nice.
I just didn't pay attention to my health, and I'm just like, oh wow, I didn't realize I was low. You know what I mean? And
They have things like they that do it for you. I don't know if
mhm.
like the amulets or whatever.
The
Which
amulets, in
that's
my opinion, are
culinary,
the
but
biggest ways that have any sort of like diversity and the character upgrading or anything. That's like the only real like.
Yeah, the accessories.
And can I say, there's one in particular that you get at the very beginning of the game. I hate to say it, it ruins the difficulty combat throughout. I mean, have you seen it? It's basically you get at the very beginning of the game. It's an amulet that allows you to every time you're before hit, it slows down everything, and you just press the
Oh
dodge
yeah.
button, and you can never get hit. Like if you
Yeah.
were a better gamer than me, you could literally get throughout this whole game without ever being hit because it slows down time before every
Yeah.
strike of an enemy has on you. I'm not kidding.
I did not bother putting that on. I looked at that. I was like, oh no. I was like, that's gonna make it way too easy.
There
for
is
me. And I was
literally
like, you know what?
no.
I'm not
th-
gonna bother with that.
There is no
See, I don't know how I
reason.
feel about something like that.
They have
I mean, I think
other stuff which like they give you this thing because you get a pet, which is
Mhm.
awesome. You never get pets in Final
Mhm.
Fantasy.
Mhm.
It's like kind of rare. So you got a husky, pretty much.
Was it Torgal?
And
I love Torgal.
Torgal, I think his name is.
Torgal. Mhm.
Yeah, and you get like this amulet that it's almost as if like it automates the dog for you,
Mhm.
which is kind of nice because you don't have to worry about him. But if you want to worry about him, you could totally not use it. Like the option is there for you not to have. However, you know,
But your
I don't wanna worry
characters, your
about it.
characters
I
can't.
just want to destroy.
Your characters can't faint or lose like in other Final Fantasy games. So there's almost no. There's almost no point though.
none
Yeah,
of this
there's
is
no.
selling me on this game. Like this
Yeah,
just made me less hyped than ever about it.
Well,
Like,
that's why.
oh,
right.
there's this interesting dog system. Oh, you don't have to do it. Oh, there's this
Yeah,
basically I win amulet. Like, I don't know how I feel about those kind of things. Like, it's nice, I guess, that they're there for accessibility for some, but I think I have a hard time. Like, if I have to play a game and I have to come up with my own set of rules to enjoy the game more, like, oh, I have to make sure I don't use XYZ element, or I gotta make sure I don't utilize certain whatever. I don't like playing games like that with these self-imposed rule systems. Like the to play within the confines of the game system without it, basically nerfing me in other ways or making things overly easy. So I don't know.
no,
This may
well,
not be the right
I'm
Final Fantasy
hoping.
for me.
I'm wondering though, like as the game progresses, if it does get a lot harder. I'm sure it does. No,
And
really?
Chaz, you
Are you
you
serious?
finished it. Yeah, you're
Oh
you're
yeah.
done.
Mhm.
So
Oh, well, at least you
I,
get to, or at least I
Well,
get to enjoy
that's
the
why I
story.
was so excited to talk about the game with you guys because, like, I hate to say it, it still is my game of the year. Even though I think I liked it more than Tears of the Kingdom, but I remember telling you guys when I was playing it, the game is pure spectacle. It is
I
100%
mean,
spectacle. The narrative is really good, and the characters are all good. So, like, it is a fun playthrough for narrative and for boss battles. But
these- I
go
mean,
ahead, sorry.
it's pretty epic with the freaking
Oh
the
yeah, dude,
Akon fights are stupid.
I'll play one right here.
Like
These
it
things are
is
crazy.
like
They're
you
kaiju
you kind
battles.
of go through it, and sure, the gameplay is simplistic, but you get to like, it's a pretty linear game.
It's very linear.
Um, it's very linear, especially the map system is super linear. There's no real walking. You just bounce from place to place, and that's pretty much it. I like the story. If I can get through it, I'll be okay. I'll be happy with it.
And I would actually
I
say,
think
or
I'm
sorry,
just. It's nice to take a step back on a normal, typical Final Fantasy game.
I would say my only other main gripe, other than again, as we were saying about some of the combat and some of the stuff like that, my only other main gripe with it is the side missions throughout the entire game. They are so pointless. None of the side missions, maybe one or two, I think, were super memorable for me. Man, the rest of the side missions throughout the entire game, man, they drag on that that the playthrough or the playtime, in my opinion.
So
Because
you're telling me that if I just go bum rush right through it, it'll be nice and short.
no, even if you because my playthrough took me, gosh, I don't know, I think it was like 40, 35, 40 hours, but like I would say maybe half of that is side missions, maybe slightly half, and it's just like because the side missions you can tell because I think it's gosh, there's like exclamation points above people's heads. I think green is side missions above people's heads.
Green, yeah,
And then there's the other one. The other one, if you just go straight to that, that's all main quest.
yeah, it's
I think
red.
the game's far more entertaining if you don't do because this I think my big problem is if you play previous Final Fantasy games, most of the time the side quests are like really varied. There's a lot of diversity in a lot of the side quests. Like,
There's a lot of personality and character in them. That's
yeah,
where you find the weird, quirky nonsense kind of stuff.
gosh, I'm trying to remember, but I remember in 7 when you went to the disc. What was the disc?
Oh, the saucer?
The saucer. The saucer had all sorts of mini games and all sorts of things. And
Yeah.
this game, like the side quests are almost always go one place, collect an item, go one place, kill a few items, and or kill a few creatures, and I feel like that's it. They're all just collect or kill or walk somewhere. You know, there is no like, I don't know. I don't want to.
That's kind of melancholy when it comes. That's
Mhm.
kind of sad. Oh well, I'm gonna enjoy it
So,
for the story. Like overall, like if I had to give this a number, like out of 10, I'm gonna probably give it a 6 because I really enjoy playing
Mhm.
it so far, and it's really driving me in. Like no joke, you play it and you're just kind of like, I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to know what's going
and
on.
6 doesn't seem like really high praise for that particular comment. Like, if I
Yeah,
hear 6, I'm gonna think pretty middling.
yeah,
But it
and
sounds like
it's
you're. Go
like
ahead.
I'm what?
Well, it sounds like you're higher than a 6. I mean, I know this is all subjective, but like you're acting like you could keep on keeping
You're,
on. So that seems like a
you're
higher
still very early
rating
in
for
the
me. I don't
game.
know.
I mean,
Maybe I can put it as 7, maybe.
there's a lot of cool boss battles though that are like really cool.
Boss battles are fun.
Yeah, the boss battles are awesome in the game.
Like I said, I think the combat system is simplistic, but it's fun, and I like how fast it is.
Hmm.
It is very fast, and you get to do you feel like you're just doing tons of damage. Like it's freaking ridiculous. Like it's like wow, there's a lot going on. You definitely feel the Devil May Cry kind of feels to it, like
So
hands
is
down.
this what you want to see in future Final Fantasy? Like when 17 comes out, do you want it to be modeled after this? Do you want like what elements from this do you want to see carry forward? Do you want it to go back to something more traditional? Like where do you guys kind of sit as far as like future Final Fantasy stuff?
I would like for it to like. I really enjoy. Again, I enjoyed the narrative and the spectacle of the game and all, but I would prefer if it had the system of like at least with Final Fantasy VII Remake, at least Remake brought over the whole materia system and also it brought over a lot of the similar systems and just surrounded it with a better looking game, better, graphical fidelity and all that stuff. I
You
would
want a more complex system.
I want a more complex system. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to say I think this is like a game for babies. Like it's like it's fun and it's like it's a ride, but man, I don't know. What about you, gamer? I don't want to let you talk over.
Well, I like the old school stuff. Like I'm a huge fan of the old school stuff. I like being played a little bit when it comes to systems because I like to be
Mhm.
like thinking consistently on my feet. I like to constantly be on the move, and if I die, it's because of me. It's because I didn't do a good strategy. Like when I was fighting Hell House, like that guy was a nonsense monster. I was like, you son of a
Mhm.
gun, man. Like, and then my friend figured, he told me a couple of things. I was like, oh, oops, that's what it was. So like, this one, I'm not too far in, but from what I'm gathering so far, um, it's almost like, yeah, it's like easy mode Final Fantasy.
It's
So like, you guys ever played a game called Mystic Quest?
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, Mystic Quest is for Super Nintendo. That's a baby game.
Yeah.
You want to play a baby game? That's a baby Final Fantasy game. You get like what, 2 players, and it's like using like that whole Earthbound type of fighting system
Right.
where it's up and down or whatever, and it is easy. It is easy. Like that game, I was disappointed on how easy it was. But this one, even though it's easy, at least the story makes up for it. Like at
Fair
least for
enough.
the bare minimum. Yeah, like the character Clive, he's tend to kind of feel bad for the guy actually. You feel horrible for the
You-
dude, man.
that's one thing I'm glad you brought up. I wanted to touch on it real quick. This game is a freaking downer, man. There is not a heck of a whole like. Oh God, I was gonna run
A
to
lot
the.
of Final Fantasies are downers though. Like,
No, man, but this one makes you feel bad.
This
Like
game
it's
makes
like,
you
dude,
feel
really?
this guy's
really
down on his
bad.
luck. Like you know, like we've played a bunch of Final Fantasies. You know, they're all different in different
Well,
capacities.
like even 7, like 7, like the game is bright, it is colorful, there is like beauty and stuff, but then like there's the whole precinct, having the top of it drop down on the citizens, and there's the
Like
townsfolk being murdered. Like it has they're dark and grim, but like those games have like a light. There's like a levity at some times, and this game I can't remember much like, ooh, that was nice.
yeah, like
mm,
there up to this point, it's just like everyone's out to get you.
Hmm.
You're a freaking you were a slave. Like it's bad. It's bad, and you're just you went against pretty much government crap like always, and every Final Fantasy game is always like that. But but in this case, it's just Jesus. It gets crazy. It's like wow, what a sad little story.
Again, it's such a strange thing because like I loved the game and would recommend it, but that's why I think I mentioned it before. Like I could totally see people not liking this game. Like I
I can see
liked
it.
it, but it's not the typical Final Fantasy fan's cup of tea. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I could see
yeah,
how a normal person won't, a normal Final Fantasy
normal.
fan won't like it. Yeah, I know. I hate to say normal, but that's, I mean, we're not
Well,
really, but
like I
you
know,
know,
like I've been coming at this like kind of like it's all about has to be traditional Final Fantasy. That's not really where I stand on it too. Like I'm probably in the minority. I really liked Final Fantasy 15, which
I think it's fun.
honestly was probably leaning towards the 16 style of stuff. Like you had a party system, but it was very muted. The combat was more action based than anything else, so it was sort of leaning that direction. But I was okay with that. For me, that kind of hit this threshold where it was still shifting the paradigm of what Final Fantasy was. You were kind of getting away from the pure traditional sense, but it had enough of that in there to kind of, balance it out. Still felt like Final Fantasy from a gameplay perspective. It sounds like this just like crossed the line a little bit, and I feel like it might have just went a little too far for me. Like, I'm okay with there being like a small, like insignificant party system, not no party system. I'm okay with there being, action combat, but not action combat that I have no strategic control over. Like, I don't know. I said I might play this still. I mean, I am a sucker for Final Fantasy stories, so it might bring me in at some point. But I don't know. I'm missing those elements. If this wasn't maybe put up there as like a mainline Final Fantasy entry, if it was kind of more advertised as like a spin-off sideline story, like Dirge of Cerberus style something, maybe I'd be a little more accepting of it. But thinking of like the mainline direction, I don't know. Feels weird to me. But I
Didn't
don't
they,
know.
didn't they say they were gonna keep going in this direction, just like
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Just like Legend of Zelda, they're going with that direction. They're
Well,
sticking
to
with
be
it.
fair, it's more,
Move your
and
mic a
maybe
little
it's
bit
still the wrong
closer.
thing, but more mainstream. Did I about me?
No, gamer.
What's
No.
up?
Like your audio's over. It's overmatching it.
Boop.
There you go.
Hi.
I don't know. I'm sure this is more mainline appealing for many people. Like mass audiences probably didn't want like. Well, I even hate to say that. I don't want to say like the general consumer wants a dumbed down Final Fantasy experience. I mean, I would imagine that this particular direction is more appealing to mass audiences, and I'm sure that's once again more profitable. That's where they're leaning towards, but. I don't know. I know we still have like the Final Fantasy VII remake, remaster, whatever they're calling them, which will hopefully scratch the itch of a slightly more traditional Final Fantasy. But I'm hoping when those wrap up and they're moving on to whatever the next iteration is, they don't completely lose sight of some of those more traditional elements. But
And I think
we
that's
shall
one
see.
of the things that like I think what's going on is that they're focusing so much on 7 that that's really where they're diving all their manpower. Like 16, they had a lot of people
I don't know,
obviously
man.
because
This
the game looks
game,
beautiful, man. The game looks
I, I
awesome.
I don't know if I would say this game feels like a game that has the B team working on it. Like this game is quality. Like this is a
Oh, hands
AAA
down.
Square Enix's best like looking game. Like
Amazing.
it's a long freaking game. It's got like a deep narrative. It's just
Yeah.
it
They
to
did
me
something.
it just feels like a slice of life, different flavor. They're just like, sure, guy from Devil May Cry, do what you want, you know.
I
You know, I
think
think
it's
we can all
fine.
agree on Final Fantasy 14 is the best Final Fantasy.
14
Oh,
was fantastic.
you know, you said you weren't even going to play it again when it comes to Xbox.
That doesn't mean I don't think it's the best. I just feel like I don't
It
think
was
I've
good.
ever felt so satisfied with the way I've like finished my time in a Final Fantasy game. I'm not
Oh
going
yeah,
to
it was great.
retread it, but yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think
had a
14 was
whole
good.
character arc that I made, and I felt very happy about it. So,
14 was
all right.
fun. I was hoping they would go with that direction with with 16. Like they would steal a little bit of things from that game.
That's kind of what I thought they were
But
doing. Maybe because they were going for like that more medieval, old school Final Fantasy theming. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like a single player Final Fantasy 14, and maybe I gauge my expectations really off there, and that I don't know, put me in a weird spot with the
now
game.
now I wish what I thought was interesting is what makes it easy too. And I'm probably just putting more lint into the fire, but when you
Lint.
do use like powers and stuff, there's no like downtime. You can just slam them. You could just slam your fire.
Oh yeah, that's
Like it's literally like just you hit and go like
another
consistently.
thing is as you go through the
There's no like
game.
resource you're using. Like you're
No,
not.
no.
No MP.
Each ability has
Ew.
each ability has a charger. When you use a power, it takes 10,
Yeah.
15, 20 seconds to charge. But the problem, not the problem, I thought it was sweet, freaking sweet. But like you get like you get like three different major abilities.
Mhm.
And basically if you just trigger, you just keep cycling your way through the three major and each one has its own ability. So you almost 24/7 are just spamming special abilities.
Yeah, you spam special abilities
Yeah.
consistently, except for the super special powers. Which, what's interesting is that if you use the special powers, you can get like extra like I don't know, I
hmm
forgot like
So
extra like
again,
points at the end or whatever for killing the character or killing an enemy after using that move. It's like interesting.
you can spam basically your specials. It's ridiculously easy to have the strongest weapon that you can possibly have, and you can almost never get hit if you hold on to that one necklace or charm or whatever it is. Like
It's like
it's like come on.
it scratches not the RPG itch I say. I think it scratches more along the lines of like
Oh yeah.
Power
I
fantasy
just
kind of
want to
thing.
destroy. Yeah, I just want to go in there and just wreck face. Like it's kind of interesting. It's like going into Borderlands and
It's
just being
perfect
like, I just want
for
to destroy.
it's perfect for people with troubles. Is that what you're saying?
Shut up.
Fair enough, I suppose.
Anyway, I think I digress. I don't think I have much to say.
We'll
I'm gonna
talk about it
continue
again. You're
playing it.
still early. You're
Yeah,
still early.
I like it. The graphics are beautiful.
It's a beautiful
I think
game. Oh.
that beginning scene though is killer. Is
You're talking
killer.
about the
Like
opening boss fight?
hell yeah. Like it is
There's
so good.
there's a lot of boss fights.
It's
And some they're
so
so
good. Like
good. Yeah.
oh my god, there's so many like Akon fights. It's so dumb. Like it's like kaiju heaven. It's just like brr,
It's a game
it's great.
it's a game for dumb babies. You just
It really is like for dumb babies, like people who like that kind of
I'm a
stuff.
dumb
It's great.
baby. I don't know. I'm easily
Yeah, me
entertained, I
too.
guess. All
And my
right.
statue looks beautiful, by the way. I opened it up finally. It is it's Phoenix versus the Ifrit, and it looks awesome. It
Mm.
looks so good. It's
Come
beautiful.
to me, Ifrit. All right, so
Yeah. Anyway,
if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna quickly spend less than 5 minutes talking about Baldur's Gate. I started playing Baldur's Gate 3. If you guys don't know, this is like before Starfield. This is the game everyone has been talking about. Um, I had a I only played it for maybe 7 or 8 hours, and do you guys have any interest in playing this game at any point
I do.
ever? You do?
I
I do.
did. Yeah.
I do.
I think you.
I saw gameplay. I was in Washington D.C. this weekend, and
No.
so my friend was showing me Baldur's Gate 3 and all the stuff you can do and all the naked ladies you can have running around. It was pretty awesome. I
I 100% see why people love this game. I see it. Like it to me it totally scratches the the Mass Effect itch where like, you know, making decisions and doing things that affect story and narrative and all that. Like I think that's where the game in my opinion is like the most fun is when you're um making decisions. I don't know if you guys know, but it's, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, of course. So like you're rolling dice to like help dictate decisions and your chances of succeeding or failing at things. And like that aspect of the game for me is like freaking awesome. It's so fun to like, again, it's like that Paragon, you know, what was it, Renegade thing with Mass Effect. Like I was totally getting, I was having so much fun making decisions and being evil or being good. Um, I think where I don't know what I was expecting. The thing that, as you can expect, as you can guess, the thing that threw me off was I wasn't a big fan of the combat. Which you guys know it's turn based and everything.
Mm.
I don't know. I've never gotten into like XCOM like games. It's very much like XCOM mixed with maybe like, I don't know. I was, because I remember talking with our buddy Kyle, and I had told him I'd heard it was similar to Dragon Age Origins, which, if you guys remember, Dragon Age Origins did have a slowdown mechanic. It did kind of have turn-based elements, but it also was like, it was live action. Like it was like Mass Effect, where
Yeah.
like you could, it was real time, but you could stop time to make certain decisions, use certain potions and stuff in between, but for the most part there is like a combat. I don't know, I was expecting more like that, and then when you step into this like actual role playing, you know, wait for your people to move to a place, and then I don't know, it's, I found it really freaking hard too. Like I had no idea, because there's
I
like
heard
an
it gets really
entire,
difficult.
there's
You
an
just need an amulet that slows down time so you can't die.
well, it already slows down time, it's time based.
Okay, yeah, that's right. What's your excuse?
It,
Nice.
there's so many decisions. Like you have an entire, at the bottom screen, you have like this, you have like 100 different things that are there, and it's just like, I don't know, maybe for me it was just like sensory overload, or I don't know. Am I I'm in, I don't know, I want you guys to play it because I want to know what you think. It just felt like, it felt like so much to kind of step into combat wise, and also, even though I enjoyed the narrative and all of that stuff, this is like the third game in like a huge series I've never touched. So like I'm stepping in and I have like no idea what is happening. It, I don't know.
Here's how much that matters. I mean, I played, man, I remember playing Baldur's Gate 2, but that was forever ago, and I can't remember any of the
Mm-hmm.
narrative either, so I don't know. I'm more of sure like a thing like Diablo. Like, if you haven't played all the Diablos, I don't think it really matters if you go into playing the new Diablo, right? I mean, the story carries on, but not really carries on, so I don't know. I mean, I won't begrudge you if the systems weren't for you. You are the only person that I've heard, not saying that everybody loved the game, but you're the first person I've heard that had like a bit of a negative take on it, so that's interesting.
Well, again, like I had a negative take with the combat. Like again, I'm, you know, me and you love like a lot of the same RPGs. Like I love decision making, being renegade, being good, paragon of virtue type stuff, making decisions that have an overall impact on a narrative as a whole, making decisions. Like I see why, like that aspect I like. It's just, I don't know, this, I've tried playing XCOM. What kind of games have that? It's like XCOM. I know Gears Tactics. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Maybe my I have a simpleton brain. Maybe I just can't handle, because like you literally do, you yeah, you literally don't just have like a bunch of different, you have like 20 skills on screen, but then you also, in your bag, you have like 50 items, and it's just like the different items you can use to affect the area. I don't know, it just, it felt like a lot for me.
You didn't
Fair
you
enough.
didn't mention the terrible inventory system that these people created.
Like look, I don't know if you
And
guys
I've
did
seen it. That game company, what is it?
Larian,
Lariat?
Larian.
Larian Studios.
Bro, their inventory system is garbage.
Is it
So
worse than
these
Bethesda's?
people,
Because they're
I'll,
pretty garbage.
I'll tell you right now. After seeing it, apparently they never, from all the Baldur's Gates have been up to this point, they have never fixed it. So they need to do something about that. Their inventory system is
Because like
trash.
if you see on screen
So
all of that stuff on the bottom, that's just your abilities. Like there's literally like an entire
That makes
bag.
me giddy. Like, it looks
you're
very
excited about
MMO-ish.
that.
Yeah, well, especially after hearing how neutered Final Fantasy has been, like, I mean, maybe this is the other extreme, and it's a little too far, but I don't know, I want a meaty RPG like that. It's been so long since I've had a good one that, oh, that looks great
And
to me, personally.
that looks pretty meaty.
Hmm.
I mean, from what I've seen so far, it looks awesome. Like I would love to play it. Like I would like to,
Yeah,
you know.
maybe I'm because it's not like I haven't liked RPGs that have elements of this. Like I played all the Witcher games, and some of the earlier Witcher games are kind of similar to this. I don't know. I don't remember if those games did a better job of. Maybe there's just less to it. Like maybe this just had
Well,
to me this just had a whole lot that I'm just like
a
again.
cool feature, a cool feature that I saw, just to kind of throw it in there,
Mhm.
is you don't have to play with other people if you don't want to.
I didn't play with other
You,
people. I was playing by
you can
myself.
play with randomly rolled three characters, and you can scrap them at any time.
Hmm.
That is awesome because then it's like, oh, if you don't like that one, oh, you could just get rid of them, and then
You
you
don't
just
have friends? We'll make you some friends. Here
yeah,
you
we'll
go.
make you friends. That's okay. You can play
You
all
don't
by
like those
yourself.
friends? Ah, kill them off. We'll give you some
Kill
new
them off,
friends.
make some more. It's like, oh, that's so cool that you could do that. Like, it's I don't know. I think that to me is pretty neat because then that's like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't need to play online with people.
Yeah,
Great.
the game has like infinite, like I can already tell from the 7 hours I played, it has like infinite possibility. Like I can see there's so much crap thrown in here. I'm trying to remember like there's a bog or some sort of swamp I came across that has like mysticism spread over it, and your like awareness level can dictate whether you can like see through the bog or not. So again, there's cool stuff there. I don't know. Maybe it was a lot for me just to kind of step into.
You went from simplicity to super complicated.
That's
Like
really true. I went from like a baby game to a game for
for big men.
a headmaster, a man game. I don't know.
Man game. That's a different game.
A game for a man.
Oh, the man
The
game.
man game.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I had to say.
Go back to your playpen, little boy.
I mean, because I don't want to act
Well,
like
if anything, I think you've sold me more on the game, so thanks.
no.
Appreciate that.
Because I don't want to act like I didn't not play. I played it for like 7 to 8 hours. So that's for me, in my opinion. I feel like that's a not a healthy chunk, but like I'm sure this game's probably 100 hours or something. But I feel like it was long enough where I'm just like, okay, I kind of see, I see what people like, and I see what I don't care for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to revisit that topic at some point, especially when we get to Starfield. Like, is 8 to 10 hours enough to know a game? Because I'm not so sure. But either way,
Cool.
cool. I mean, I'm still interested. I mean, as I think you guys turned me off more and more to 16, but I
That's
think if
okay.
anything, you've turned me more on to this one. Giggity.
But at least with
Hmm.
Starfield is like an action.
Just wait till 16.
It's more
Go on sale
actiony
for, like,
though.
$10.
Like at least with Starfield,
Yeah, I
you're
think I'm
like
just gonna have to be in the right mood for 16 at this point. I just
Yeah.
need to be in a different frame of different place, different mindset. I'm sure I'll get some enjoyment out of it. But
I
Yeah.
actually
I
think
kind of just jumped into this because I got so sick and tired of Xenoblade Chronicles that I'm just like, you know what? I want a different game. Let me jump on this
I
real
almost
quick.
wonder if you play Final Fantasy 16, if the best thing to do is to totally ignore all the side quests and just do the main quests. Because then that makes the difficulty of the combat, maybe that makes it slightly harder because you're under leveled. Because like, I was doing I did every single side quest in the entire game. And again, the combat was ridiculously easy. I remember the two bosses I had trouble with, and I only died maybe like 2 or 3 times. So
fair
okay,
enough.
all right. So that's it for Baldur's Gate. Who wants to go first? Do you want to save Starfield
Um,
for last?
Yeah, I will tell you before you get into yours though, before I get into Starfield, I'm gonna do a quick shout out. I didn't put it on the
Oh,
list,
sure,
but
good.
um I had completely missed this. Like when they announced it, I was like, oh sweet, can't wait for that. And then it completely just passed me by. And I remember looking it up the other day because I saw someone playing it. I'm like, that came out already. But We Love Katamari reroll. If I can get that
Oh, nice.
show well. Yeah, I love the
Katamari
Katamari
games are so
games.
fun.
Like when you're in a bad mood, those are the games to play, man. Like they're just chill, they're bright, they're weird and quirky in that awesome Japanese way. So this actually might be one of my favorite ones. It's hard to gauge because they're all very similar. But I don't recall in the other ones that they had a similar level. There was one level where instead of rolling a Katamari, you had a sumo wrestler, and you rolled him around. He got fatter and fatter as you rolled him around, like just like stuff like that. That's great. So that's my shout out. If you haven't played Katamari or in a bad mood, it's a good one to try out. And it's cheap, it's like $30.
They remind me of one of the podcasts I listen to. One of the guys, his like go-to stressed out game is a Super Monkey Ball, and he always just talks about. He's like, I'm stressed. I had to play Super Monkey Ball for like 20 minutes to. It's just random, like rolling around. Yeah.
You just want a game that is just a game. Like there's no crazy narrative or super complex systems. Just as a super simple mechanic that gives you an objective, and you can just go for it. And that's what like the Katamari kind of stuff is, or there's other games like that. But I feel like there's less of them nowadays, or at least like they kind of get buried underneath like the AAA releases. And sometimes a game can just be a simple game and still be great. And sometimes I appreciate that more. I remember, what was it? It was during like when COVID was happening. Life was just crazy, and
Animal Crossing.
I think that's when. Well, Animal Crossing was one, but Man-Eater. Do you remember that?
Oh, the shark game. Yeah.
It was a stupid by most metrics, not a great game, but it was just very singular, simple, focused game. It wasn't trying to be anything more than what it was, and man, I love that game for that. So this is kind of in that same realm. Just if you're trying to kick back, relax, ease some stress, stuff like that can be good for
you. The Hall & Oates simulator game. All right.
Since you called that game out, I saw a couple of glimpses on Sea of Stars. I'm very interested in that game.
I told you guys about that game. Yeah, a couple weeks ago I sent it to you that it's going to be on Game Pass and everything.
Oh yeah, and I picked it up and I have it downloaded on all my Xboxes.
I've actually seen I've seen a lot of good reviews on it.
Oh yeah, man, I saw it a little bit. It reminded me of Chrono Trigger. Not because of the composer, because the composer is the person who did Chrono Trigger, but it has a lot of those mechanics.
You should play that after 16. I'm sure there'll be a difficulty spike. I'm sure.
Oh man, that's gonna get my rocks off on my RPG. And that madness.
You're gonna choke your chocobo.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so we're gonna save Phoenix's game for last, since how that's pretty important for the episode. So I'm gonna move on. I'll be quick with these two games, but quite possibly one of the best games I played in a little bit. I finally played Marvel Spider-Man. I finally got to Insomniac game. I finally got to play it. Especially with Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming out in October, I wanted to kind of blast through this one and Miles Morales, and I did just that. How much do you remember about this game, Phoenix? I'm sure. How many times have you played it?
I played it the first time through. I think I did the New Game Plus. I didn't. Every once in a while, I come back to revisit it because my daughter likes to hop on to swing through as Spider-Man. She's really big into like Across the Spider-Verse right now, so anything that's got Spider-Man or Miles, she's all about. So I guess I have revisited it a little bit since then, but I mean, I played it. Was it when it came out? Maybe it was a little bit after. But I loved it then. I mean, it seems like you had a similar take.
I freaking loved it. Like I feel like for me, if Phoenix knows, but like one of my favorite game series of ever is the Arkham series, and I feel like this, it's easy to compare it because of the combat, very similar combat system, the open world mechanics pretty similar as well, but like it scratches that that free flowing movement of traveling around the city, with the bat, with the bat suit. Here it like feels just as fun, just kind of swinging around, and I don't know,
Makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Feel like Peter or Miles, whichever. But it's so fun. Like I had fun just kind of traversing the town and landmark seeking. That's the crazy thing is, well, I'll touch on it with Miles Morales, but with this game, I almost loved all of the collecting stuff. Almost every collecting thing gave like a little narrative and like told you something about it. Gave you got to take like a deep dive into Peter's life with whatever you were collecting. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I agree, and part of it is the items you collect are fun, and also like your whole point really of this game beyond like the narrative is moving and traversing New York City. So it's fun to just get from collectible to collectible. Other games, it's a slog having to like go through a big open world or find some random cave. Like I hated collecting some of the stuff even in like Tears of the Kingdom. I was just over it. But in this game I could swing around New York for hours. You never really get tired just because that's one of the main gameplay loops, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
traversal. So it makes us navigating, collecting, doing little side missions a lot of fun throughout the entire time.
Yeah. And of course, all the boss battles, everything's super fun. Like once you get to the raft and the shit begins to go down, it's just like it's really cool. Narratively, I won't ruin the main narrative, but like narratively, it's fun with what happens with Peter and how the everything that's going on with Mr. Negative and all the other bosses. It's super cool. I really enjoyed my
Did you
time.
play any of the DLCs?
I did not. I went straight into Morales.
Okay. It doesn't really matter. I don't think they're necessary. They have some fun stuff in them, but the other thing I was going to ask, I think I remember you kind of alluding to this in one of your early playthroughs, because the other big Spider-Man game that most people would tout as like the next best underneath this or close to it, old school Spider-Man 2, Toby's day
I
out
never
there.
played that one, but I always remember people liking it.
Yeah, you didn't play it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess this point won't really go real far then. Because I think in most cases, this game is, of course, head and shoulders above that. There's one thing Spider-Man 2 did really well. I still feel like this game doesn't quite hit. There was this swinging mechanic where, like, when you get to the bottom or quote unquote the apex of the swing, you could like do an extra boost, and it gave your character like just this extra speed as you're going
Hmm.
through. That felt really good. This game doesn't really do that, and maybe it's more realistic this way. And there's other ways to get some speed while swinging around, but I still miss that little element. Spider-Man 2 felt a little faster from what I recall. And it could be rose-tinted glasses, nostalgia kind of feeding into that. I haven't played it in a decade, but I
Well,
remember
it's
just that feeling in this game. It still wasn't quite there.
well, it's like the Arkham games had a similar thing where you would grapple to a spot, and if
Mm,
you double tapped A, your grapple would shoot you faster at the point,
right.
and then it would launch Batman. So,
Yeah, it just gave like this little like momentum kind of push that just made 2 feel really quick. And I feel like I watched a YouTube video a while back where somebody actually went back and tried to analyze that.
mhm.
I think they were able to break down that 2 is actually faster than the new one with that mechanic. So not an important thing. It's a real nitpicky thing. I mean, this game is better than 2 in almost every
well,
other way, but I like
well,
to
I
mention
think
it.
in an interview with the developers at Insomniac, they said that they styled this game after two. They literally
Yeah,
said that like every mechanic, they said they were trying to make just a spiritual
yeah, that was the
successor.
pillar to base it
Hmm.
off of. Yeah.
But yeah, I had fun just about every aspect of this game, like landmark seeking, collecting all the collectibles, getting all the suits, putting
We
away all.
mentioned there was one negative, wasn't there? That you,
My only real
I don't know if you were
negative,
getting there.
it's a very surface level, but like I didn't like the look of this Peter. I for some reason thought his character model was very generic. I don't know. He
You
just did.
know this is not the original model.
This isn't.
When when Spider-Man first came out on the PS4, that game it had a completely different character model. Then when they re-released it for the PS5 with I think if they did during the remaster,
They
they
changed it.
remodeled it. They remodeled Spider-Man, Peter Parker, so he was a little closer looking to Tom Holland, just a little bit. The
Eh,
original one
I gotta
looks
look up what he
very
looked like.
different.
I'll look it up later,
Um,
but
he's a little weird looking. I liked it better. Because you're right. I think the new one is a little overly generic because it's not Tom Holland. It's kind of like the Marvel's Avenger game they put out
hmm
where all the superheroes kind of look like the MCU actors, but not really. They're in this weird kind of uncanny, generic
hmm
look. That's what they did with this Spider-Man. The
I can see
original
it.
one had more character to him.
Yeah, for
So
some reason, like I feel like the voice actors, everyone was great. All the acting was great, fantastic. I just felt like his character model for some reason like stood out from everyone else. That's interesting because I didn't even know it was a different
yeah,
character in the original version of the game. So they didn't change any
yeah.
other
I'm
character?
really curious if you'll think he looks better. Nope, just him that I remember.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I for some reason thought he just like he didn't look like Andrew, he didn't look like Toby. He just looked like some generic like
Here's how I
19
can find it real
20 year
quick.
old. I was just like he looked too smooth. Is that a bad way of calling someone telling them they look smooth?
You're definitely not smooth.
uh,
You look kind of smooth.
okay, here. I got
It's an
a
easy way to
picture.
get
Hold on, let me see
arrested.
if I
You
can.
shouldn't say that.
All right, let me
I'm letting
see
Phoenix
if
give it him a
this
second.
will go. Can you guys
Oh,
see that?
okay. I see.
Can I get that bigger?
Oh,
So this is how he was
Oh,
before. This is how he is now.
wow, he's completely different.
So like he looked.
he looks
This was a
better.
weird
He looks
model, like with the
better
big.
than the first one.
He looked more unique. I like the original compared to that. That's just yeah. I think toned him down too much. Made him a little more generic.
His features are
His
more
nose is
distinct.
flatter.
Yeah, in the first one.
His nose is white and flat.
You catch us. That's funny. Okay, but yeah. So they definitely changed him around quite a bit. Even the hair. I didn't realize they moved the hair around too.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Interesting.
Why did they do? I just don't. I get it. Maybe you said Tom Holland, but
I am pretty sure it was around the time, like, I don't remember if it was when Civil War came out or if it was Homecoming, whatever, but I thought that's why the reasoning was. Maybe it was a completely different reason, but I'm pretty sure they have the same voice actor, so they didn't change
no.
it due to that.
I mean, I thought the voice actor was great. It didn't
Yeah.
bother me. I did read that I think more people had more problems with or you know what? Since I'm moving on, let's go ahead and move on to Miles. Or anything else you have to say about Spider-Man? I just had a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
It's really weird because it's like I don't have much more to say. Like I enjoyed almost every aspect of it, the narrative, the combat. I think this is probably one of those games where every year or other year I'll probably try and play it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. But yeah, so speaking of, one thing I did know that other people had problems with is I did get to also play Miles Morales. I know a lot of people didn't really like his voice actor, or I think some people were annoyed. I didn't think he was that bad. I personally didn't have a problem. What about you?
I thought it was fine. I think uh, the voice didn't match the model as well to me. Like the model looked like he was older, and the voice sounded younger. So I think there was a weird juxtaposition for me there, but it didn't bother me. I mean, I thought the voice on its own was fine, especially when you're in the suit. It was just whatever. I thought his voice acting was good, his delivery was good. I mean, it wasn't something I took major issue with. I just when you see his face and hear the voice, it didn't quite mesh up to me. But
um, yeah. If you guys didn't play this one, this almost in every way has like it feels similar to the previous game. The only thing is everything. I mean, for the fidelity wise, it's definitely a step up. At least I thought. Like I think New York looked better. Like me,
yeah.
even though the remaster was a remaster, I still think this one looked better.
I'm pretty sure this one was built, I don't want to say quote unquote for the PS5, but they were really kind of touting it as like one of the early PS5 releases.
Mm.
The PS4 version was, kind of the neutered version. And they did the original Spider-Man remaster after the fact. And, that game wasn't built with the PS5 in mind. So anything they added on would have been just that add-on. This one was kind of built with, I think, certain technologies already kind of in place. Probably utilizes like the ray tracing better and things like that. Also, like I think a lot of that game too was set at night. And there was just something about the way New York looked at night. I don't know. I
I
liked it.
don't remember. I think so. I think you might be right on that.
I know it was Christmas too, and just had a different kind of sheen to everything.
It was. I don't know. Like this one, I still feel like I enjoyed it, but to me, it was a step down from the previous one. It's weird because we were talking about it before, but like in terms of feel and movement and combat, it's more fluid. Like it feels better. Like I actually feel like Miles swings faster and moves faster than Peter in this one. His combat is also better. He has more ability, so you
Yeah.
would think the combat would be more entertaining, but I don't know. Like for some reason, I feel like things were more fun in the previous game. Maybe it's hard to explain. Like, um, I don't know. Like even though everything felt better, maybe just the narrative was just that much better. That's what I'm focusing in on in my head. Maybe I'm like letting the narrative overwhelm like the feel of the game. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I had a bigger gap between the two. I mean, you played them back to
I played
back, so
them
you
back
probably
to back.
noticed the disparity a little different. I mean, I played Spider-Man, the original, close to when it came out. I think it might have been like right when it came out. I think I played Miles pretty much when it came out, but I mean, there was a good, couple of years or so between that, year and a half, I don't know. So I didn't notice exactly. I do feel like Miles had a bigger move set for sure. I think it changed the combat where I think because he had so many extra powers, there were a lot of other enemies that had to be put in place to kind of counteract those powers, and maybe that added just a different, I don't want to say layer to the combat, but maybe a different approach to it that you didn't like as much. I don't feel like I recall it quite as maybe negatively as you did,
Well,
but
it's also
I do remember the experiences feeling shorter, more condensed, not in a bad way. I think at the time where I was playing it, I was kind of glad it was a little bit shorter. Just fit my schedule better at the time, so I had a pretty favorable experience with Miles overall.
well, it's also, since you bring it up, it's also a little more disappointing that yes, you have more abilities and more options in terms of what you can do because of his
Mhm.
electromagnetic or whatever it is, bioelectricity, I think it is. But like,
Yeah.
it doesn't help that you have more abilities and more options, but you have less enemy variety. There's literally only like two
Mm.
types of people you fight. It's the who is it, the tinkerers people, I don't remember what they were called, and then there is the, what was the evil the Roxxon people, and it's just like, uh, they're pretty boring. Most of them, both sides either just like, they either have shields or I'll show, they either just have right when I do it, Rhino pops up. He's honestly, the sections that involved Rhino were some of the best sections in the entire game. Like
Mhm.
the opening scene of you actually getting to see Rhino's path of destruction through New York City is like one of the best scenes throughout the entire game. I feel like, as opposed to the previous one, that's what's missing with this one, is like the real moments that are like super memorable. Like Miles Morales, there weren't that super memorable scenes for me. Like the Rhino
Well,
one.
it's supposed to be a, a more intimate, I think, kind of game too, because Miles, early on his, spidering career, so I think they wanted to kind of keep the stakes a little bit lower, at least until the end of it. So maybe that's part of it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, because I know the original Peter, or the first game, his Peter was more established, so you had more enemies to pull from, larger, however you want to look at it. I think they had more to work with there, and they wanted to go a little bigger. So maybe that was an intentional decision. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe like you were saying, because of the length of the game, it just the enemy variety is just lacking as opposed to the previous one. You only deal with what, two of Spider-Man's main villains. I mean,
Mhm.
is Tinker technically a main villain? I mean, I know you deal with
You know,
Prowler, but Prowler, you don't. He's one section, and it's like,
kind of makes me wonder, like, what this game, if it was maybe supposed to be something else. And what I mean by that is,
DLC.
I'm curious. Well, I'm curious if they originally meant to make DLC for the first game, because I mean it's the same game in so many ways. They just kind of added on to it. It seems like they really wanted a big game, a flagship game for PS5 because it was right at the release, and I think this was really it. This was the only game I think PS5 had when it released. So I'm curious if it was a shift from maybe taking it from DLC and porting it to a full game. Maybe that's where some of the, I don't know, lack of variety is kind of coming into play, or kind of the, not expanded story. It just feels like a smaller experience. Maybe because it was supposed to be a smaller experience, at least initially. But I could be wrong. I'm kind of, um, you know, what's what we're saying, kind of speculating here, but I don't know. It kind of feels that way when you look at it in context of the release of the PS5, what you got in the final game, etc.
Yeah. Oh, that's basically all I had to say. I mean, I'm finally done with those two games. I think I mentioned it before. I'm more excited now for Marvel Spider-Man 2 because now we get to see. I mean, they didn't really answer where, or gamer. Do you care about small spoilers with Spider-Man?
Not really.
We don't really know where the Venom came from. I mean, is it the same typical? It came from space because somehow.
Well, they do kind of, you kind of know that. See, this kind of annoyed me when they try to make it a big mystery where it came from. I feel like it's at the end of Spider-Man 1. I don't remember if it was like a mid-credit scene or whatnot. They show the Venom in a little tube, like a
Yeah.
little Venom symbiote piece in the tube where Harry Osborn's in like a
Mm-hmm.
big
Yeah.
like sick
Mm-hmm.
tube. So clearly it's synthetic. At
Oh,
least that's
so
my
you think
thought.
they created it and it's not the typical? It came from space.
I think so, because I feel like that is. I could be wrong here. I think that's the ultimate Spider-Man kind of origin of Venom. He's a synthetic, like cancer cure kind of thing.
Hmm.
I feel like they're leaning on that as probably a way to, save Harry. I guess the question is, which route do they go as far as Venom's host? I mean, clearly Peter's gonna have it for a little bit,
So I
but
thought
is it
isn't
ultimately gonna grasp
Brock
onto?
is all Brock was always supposed to.
Well, it's supposed to be, but it depends on which origin they go with. They've changed things before. It could be Harry. They might forego him being, Hobgoblin or anything down the line, and he could be
He
your Venom.
has to be
I don't know.
Hobgoblin. I mean, at least
It doesn't have to
we
be.
know it moves on to Peter, so you see it in the
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. It'll be fun. I mean, I very much doubt they're gonna drop the ball on Spider-Man 2. Like, if it is even just Spider-Man 1 again with some more stuff added, I'm gonna be
I
more than
already know what's gonna
satisfied.
happen in Spider-Man 2. I can already tell you. Let me tell you. I'm gonna ruin Spider-Man
Uh-huh.
2. Peter is gonna become the ultimate baddie, and Miles is gonna have to defeat Peter at the end. There you go.
I'm hoping they. I don't think they'll go that full route. I think that will be like
In
two
that
thirds of the
trailer, they
game.
show Peter clearly
Well, he'll
becoming.
go bad. I don't think he's going to be the big bad at the end. I think that will be like before you go into Act 3 kind of thing. Because at some point, they have to have Venom. Like, I think they're going to have the point where Peter becomes, all angry, grumpy Peter, and Miles is going to be the one who stops him. And then the symbiote suit is going to go off, attached to whoever, and then they both have to take on Venom at the end. Like, it's
Mm,
going to be a Venom ending, I would imagine. In other words, what's the point of having Venom in the game?
mm.
Like, unless they make Peter Venom, which I don't think that can even happen because they already have shots of both Spider-Man fighting Venom. So
Do we
that's
have
my
a
take.
scene of this Peter dancing outside of a club?
We better. One of those hidden outfits better be
The
Peter
suit,
with some emo
the
hair and
emo
just.
suit. We how come we don't have a pizza delivery Spider-Man suit? There has to be a pizza boy suit.
I do miss that from the Spider-Man 2 games. You had like pizza delivery mini games and nonsense like
Was there?
that,
I
but
never played that one, so I didn't know there were delivery.
it was a lot quirkier, like for better or for worse. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. All right, Phoenix, your time is here. You get to finally talk about
Oh,
your game.
I almost don't know if I want
Try
to.
not to. We don't need to spend too much saying this. How long have you played?
So I have played, I think, 10
About
hours.
10 hours.
And I think this is where I'm having a bit of a hard time gauging my experience with it because I used to very much be in the camp, and I think I've said this before. If a game takes more than 10 hours to get good, it's not a good game. I feel like I first came to that realization when I was like Final Fantasy 13. Like, I played that game for like 12, 13 hours and felt like I was beating my head against a wall. And everybody was telling me, just get to hour 14 or wherever and it opens up. And I'm like, that's not a good game.
Just
If I
get
got to
good.
fight through all that. Yeah. And I'm kind of feeling that with this game. The first 10 hours have not been bad. It's been very slow for me, for better for worse. And some people like a slow burn at the beginning. I'm not so sure how I'm feeling about it. I do feel like that this is one of those games that if I do stick it out, like Bethesda games always get their hooks in me at some point. So I think once the systems finally evolve just a little bit and I get a little more engaged with things, I think my overall feeling towards it will change. So I guess what I'm going back on here is a game can sometimes take longer than 10 to 12 hours to quote unquote get good, but I can certainly understand how for many these first 10 hours are going to turn you off real quick.
Hmm.
I think part of it, I've been trying to think of the best way to even phrase this because I think what a lot of people were coming into this game were thinking that, oh, this is just going to be Skyrim in space,
That's what I
right?
was going to
Or
ask
Fallout
you
in space.
whenever you pause. I was gonna be like, so
And
is it Skyrim or Fallout in space, or does it feel like its
okay,
own thing?
oh, okay. Let me explain kind of where I'm at with this because I'll tell you a lot of it's just hard to gauge here. So a lot of people are looking at that from a negative context, Skyrim in space. I honestly was looking at that in a positive light.
That's one of the best games ever. Like, yeah.
My expectations for this game weren't way up here. We had talked about this prior. Like, I know Bethesda and Microsoft were touting this as the most important RPG ever made, which I think was a terrible way to market it. And a lot of people were also hyping it up to like these extreme levels. I never got to that point. I think I had relatively realistic expectations that this is Bethesda. I played plenty of Bethesda games. It's going to be a Bethesda game probably through and through for better or for worse. And I was like, if I got Skyrim in space, if that was the bare minimum bar I was trying to meet, I'm more than happy with that. It doesn't feel like Skyrim or Fallout in space yet. I think part of that though is not that the systems and the gameplay isn't similar to those other games. It's the personality that this game has right now. So this game went for a very kind of realistic take on sci-fi, right? It's very much like if we were able to in the next 200 years make it to space with our current technology and our understanding of space and whatnot, it's not fantastical, right? You think about Skyrim, it's fantasy. And that I think is very easy to get drawn into initially. There's a spectacle to it. You got powers. And also because Skyrim, you had the entire Elder Scrolls IP to build upon, so you already kind of understood what that game was going to be. Same thing with Fallout. Like it's not fantasy, but it had that weird kind of quirkiness, personality to it. It wasn't grounded fully on realism, right?
Well,
So
that is
I think
interesting
those are really
because
easy to get drawn into.
as I say, that is interesting you're saying because I prefer Elder Scrolls over Fallout. So I would kind I was
Yeah,
I would
and I mean,
hope for
however you look at it,
Skyrim in space. Yeah.
I don't. It probably leans, if anything, more Fallout, but I'm
Mm.
hesitant to even say that because Fallout has a very like dystopian feel to it. It's very kind of dark humory. Like this game doesn't come at you really strong with those quirky personality traits. It is very realistic and almost. I'm probably not doing this game justice by saying this, but it feels a little bland in some cases. Here's the
Mm.
thing: space can be space can be done a few ways. Like you have the fantastical space games like Mass Effect, right? Where it's like you got a little bit of space magic going on, but you also have like these crazy alien political systems to kind of engage with. Or you have like Destiny where you're straight up a space wizard, right? So you have these really high level fantasy elements in space to kind of jazz it up a little bit. When you think about space in just a very realistic context,
It's
it
boring.
can be kind of
Yeah.
and that's what certain systems feel like right now. Space is empty in this game. And there's also not a whole lot of space traversal. Like you can technically, I think, fly through space. You will not want to fly through space. It's basically a map you're going to jump
There's
around
no
between.
space wizards that are looking to take over the galactic empire.
Not that I've come across. To my understanding, there are a few fantasy-like elements that happen. I've been trying to avoid spoilers, so I don't know any specifics, but I think you get a little bit of that, but it's nowhere in the early game. I'm curious if it's even in the mid game. So it's very much just straight up. You have a standard spaceship. You're blasting
Hmm.
off into space with your jetpack kind of stuff. Like I don't know. So you don't have the fantasy element. So if that turns you off, or you're looking for that, you're going to be
That
missing
is a
that
little
element
that
a
is a
little
little
bit.
bit of a stinger, I think.
Um. I'm trying not to come at this real negative because I don't think this is a bad game. I don't think it's gonna be a bad game, but it's a slow burn. The space aspect of it, if
Whoa,
anything,
this
has kind
place
of
looks like.
weighed it down for me.
Did you see that? That place looked like the Citadel
Hmm.
just now.
Yeah, yeah. One of the first cities you get to looks like the Citadel
Huh.
stylistically, but not as good. I like the Citadel better. I think it was more interesting the way it was set up. I think that's my thing. I've played a lot of good space RPGs, and this game isn't hitting some of those same check boxes just yet. Not saying it has to. I mean, this game definitely has more in the way of like faction systems and things of that nature, and I'm just finally starting to get into some of that. It takes forever to get into anything. Like I've only done like one main story mission, and I've just kind of started one faction side quest. And once again, that's taken me 10 hours. It's a slow burn.
Well,
Um,
I I did the
You're
one
not
thing
selling me on this game at all, buddy.
sorry.
there's one thing I didn't want to bring up because I don't think it's a spoiler, but I did read there is a specific way that most people are saying you should approach the
You're talking about
story.
play through the main story first and then do
Yes,
everything else
that's
after.
what I've
I
read that people are saying you
I'm
should
not sure if
do.
I like
Now that's
I
not the
get why
most
they're
fun
saying that.
way, but people are saying because you get most of your XP through the main quest lines. So people are saying by doing that you're more leveled up for side quests and stuff, so it makes those more fun. Now again, I haven't played it, so
I've
Well,
heard
I
both
can
arguments
start.
here. I heard a lot of people say that at first, and now I hear people saying that you shouldn't do that. And here's the thing, you should play this game however you want to play it.
this is the kind
I'm
of
not
game
really
where
feeling like that.
going off the beaten path, that's like the point of Bethesda games in my opinion. So
Yeah, I don't want to rush to the main. I think the whole point is the new game plus in this particular game isn't like iterative, like you just play the same game again. It's additive, so something changes next time. So the argument I heard is that if you rush through it right now and then you get to the new game plus, since you didn't play a lot of the original content, you're not going to really see what got changed. So
mm,
it's not going to have that impact. Now, I've also heard that that only applies to main story missions versus side missions. Like, I don't know. Point is, play this game however you want. I don't really want to rush through main story stuff just yet. I do want to dig into the factions, some of the side quests. I don't think I'm going to 100% it or anything first time. I don't know. I am wanting to really like this game, and I am wanting to get back into it. I'm feeling certain systems start to hook me in, but it's a little slow. The menu system, man, is rough. Like
UI,
working
the
through,
UI,
yeah, because they went with this very like super minimal aesthetic. Like all the text is
it's
just
white.
super like thin font text. It's for me, it's hard to read, especially when I'm trying to like, pick up items in the world. Like everything just looks the same. It's hard to read what
Because
an
you're playing
important
on a
item is
projector
because
too.
well,
I
what I
mean, you
mean
have a
by
nice
that is like
projector.
everything is so realistic that the important stuff doesn't stand out. It kind of just blends into the background a little bit. When you hover over something, it just brings up a little inventory list. You know how like Fallout does, and it's just all white text. Not a whole lot's popping out. And there's a few color changes based upon rarity of gear in there, but I don't know. I just haven't really dug into that system just yet. One thing I am disappointed with, and I don't think this is going to change. I think I mentioned this in some of our pre-conversations. So this game does have alien life in terms of like flora and fauna.
No
Where
intelligence.
are the
Yeah.
yeah, where are the straight up aliens? Like I really don't like that they went this path. Like I feel there's two paths you could go here. You could be super realistic and be like, okay, there are no aliens. If that's the perspective you take, because that's a stance that people believe in. There's no alien life, and that's fine. But once you go down the path of there is some form of alien life, you need to go all in on that because it doesn't make sense to just have alien animals, like, and not alien, like, I'm not saying humanoid, but higher level intelligent life. Like that would have breathed so much more life into this game if there were like other alien races to interact with, like a Mass Effect style thing. Everything has been human so far. All the aliens have just been
You can't
monsters
make
and
love to any alien species
yeah,
out there.
not that that was on my checklist, but I don't know. I find that really just disappointing and kind of an odd stance. Like, okay, you want to be realistic, but you've already set up this world where you've got alien life. Lean into that.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that was they didn't want to, but they have other like they're big on having other races, right? I mean, you look at Fallout, you look at Elder Scrolls, like they're full of other races like mutants and
Well,
Khajiit and all this kind of.
it's gonna be a long time before you see the next Elder Scrolls game. So I bet you
Oh yeah,
maybe they'll save some sort of first contact for like DLC or something. Like that would be a great
maybe.
DLC, first contact with some uh that's always super typical of a space game. It's like the first time we've met
I would
the
hope
the
so. It,
gorgons, gorbulites. I don't know.
the Gorbulites. I said maybe somewhere else in this game that happens. Like I said, I'm 10 hours in. To my understanding, there's a lot of game here. Like most people don't get anywhere near the end between 60 and 80 hours just to get to the end of the main stuff, unless you're rushing through it, which I'm okay spending time in this game. I'm hoping it really picks up. There's some tedious stuff here. So I'm not trying to turn you off to it. Just be expectant. It may not grab you in the first 10 hours immediately. It might be one of those things that's going to take 15, 20 hours for the systems to hook themselves in.
One question,
Um,
one
yeah,
other thing I have is I love when I play RPGs. One of my favorite things is listening to good music. Does it have good music or is it very quiet?
I'm trying to think. It has not stood out. Like
It's
it has their overture kind of stuff, like the Starfield, orchestrated theme is there sometimes. I don't feel like there's a lot beyond
because like
that.
when walking around the Citadel, I have a blast with the music. When walking around the Wasteland, you have a blast with all the retro
I
music.
don't.
Elder
I have
Scrolls
not felt
has
that
its
way yet.
like violin and old school
That's not good.
That's not good. So it's boring
It's
and there's no
Yeah,
just
music.
empty flora, fauna, lame. Oh boy.
No alien.
I'm trying
Oh,
really hard not to come across
oh boy.
super negative here because I that's not quite my stance on it yet. I'm kind of just neutral. Like I am still optimistic that it's going to get to that point where things kind of click over and I'm getting kind of those old school Bethesda vibes where it's got you in, you're digging into the systems, the faction stuff is good. I am starting to get into this pirate faction quest that has got some cool stuff happening, but I don't know. The companions right now aren't crazy interesting. I'll tell you, I've been mentally comparing this game a lot to Outer Worlds lately because that
Hmm.
was the Obsidian kind of
I
similar-ish
enjoyed
game.
Outer Worlds.
Like I know the big critique with Outer Worlds is the scope of it was just super narrow, right? It wasn't this expansive thing, a lot of lost potential, blah 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 blah. But when I look at it as in comparison to something like Starfield, I kind of liked Outer Worlds better. It had more, maybe you could look at these as gimmicky things, but it had some pizzazz to pull you in, right? The worlds were a little more interesting to look at. The storyline was a little more quirky. Your companions were a little more over the top. And maybe that's not what people want here. They very much are going for realism. But realism can get boring. A lot of these planets you go to, there is nothing there. Like, literally nothing. It's you go and you scan some resources, shoot some animals, and get off the planet. The handcrafted stuff is pretty good. Like the actual quests that you go and you do are fine, but the procedural stuff, there's not much there, man. Yeah, I'm early. I could be very wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but
They haven't
I
learned
don't
anything
know
from
yet.
No Man's. They haven't learned anything from the early No Man's Sky stuff yet.
Well,
Like
to be fair, No
you,
Man's Sky didn't have a lot of handcrafted content, and this
Mhm.
does. And there is more story narrative driven stuff here, and everybody that I've seen any comment from has said the main story, when you get into it, is really kind of spectacular, especially towards the end. There's some really cool stuff that happens. So I just got to see it through, but I can certainly understand that if you are feeling bored in this game 10, 15 hours in, I wouldn't feel bad about it. I mean, yeah, you might be missing out on some great ending, but I still kind of come back to that thing, like if a game doesn't hook you in 10 to 15 hours, it's kind of the game's fault. I mean, people want different things out of a game. Some people are okay with a nice slow burn, but this game is not going to be for
Hmm.
everybody. You have to fight
Um,
through a little bit of tedious to get there.
the only other thing I'm curious about is the whole uh is the whole the whole idea of it's not seamless landing on a planet. Does that kind of take you out a little bit, or is that just
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah, I tell you, and this is gonna probably be the most danging comment I could make, but space feels like I wish it wasn't even a part of this game, because
Hmm.
every time I do something space oriented, taking off from a planet or whatever, I feel like it just slows me down.
Hmm.
Like I don't get to get in my ship and just take off on the planet. I don't have that seamless transition. It's you get into your spaceship, you say take off, loading scene. You can't skip these cutscenes either of your ship getting off, blasting into space. So then you're sitting in space. You can't do anything in space. Like so you can fly around. There's no point to flying around really. Like you can't go fly and land on a planet. You can look at the planet through your scanner, like it's in your viewport, and you can just click it and fast travel to it. You could fly over to it, but you still at some point have to click on the planet to land on it. So flying to it does no benefit. You have space combat, which is fine. I'm not in love with it yet. Maybe it's because my ship sucks. I don't know. But when getting around in space, it's a series of you go to your star map, find a planet, teleport there, next planet, teleport. It's just teleporting through maps.
Mm.
So being in space slows me down more than anything else. I'd rather just be like, go from planet, say, I want to end up on this other planet, completely bypass space and just be on the other planet. That's kind of how Outer Worlds was to a certain point. Like you could go to your ship and your ship was like a hub, and you could do a few things in the hub, talk with your crew, stuff like that, and then pick, okay, go land on a planet. It felt a lot quicker doing that. Um, I don't know. I know I'm coming across super negative with that, and I'm hoping that the space aspect gets some more oomph after a while. But for me, space is empty in this, which is very realistic. Kudos to Bethesda for sticking to realism, but it's a little boring.
Hmm.
Sorry.
No. Well, I officially play the game tomorrow night, so we'll see. We'll see.
And maybe you'll have a different experience. I hope you will. I do think this is one of those games too. You get out of it what you put into it as far as how you build your character, where you go in the game. Maybe I spent too much time doing some side quests, and I should have did some more main quests. Maybe I've just approached this game in a way that maybe isn't the most, I don't know, exciting path I could have taken. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see what your take is going to be.
Hmm. Interesting.
Oh, the other thing I will say, you're going to play it on PC, right?
Probably.
Yeah, the 30 frames is killing it for me on Xbox.
Really? Okay.
I
'Cause
mean,
it's free
it
on
doesn't
PC
run
Game
bad.
Pass, right? It's on PC
I
Game
think so. I think if
Pass.
you have Game Pass, yeah,
Okay.
it's included on that.
Cool.
The 30 frames, especially for, I think that would help if this game at least looked and felt really cool to move around in space. I think that would help a lot.
Because
But it feels extra clunky in 30
I've
frames.
read people say the 30 frames isn't a big deal. I don't know.
For me, it does. Maybe because I'm also maybe it depends on your screen, your TV, your resolution. Maybe if you're watching it in 4K, I'm on a big projector on 1080, so maybe I'm noticing like the lack of fidelity there. So like the smoothness usually helps. Like, usually I don't mind being on 1080 projector because it's 60 frames, it's fluid enough that the little nuanced fidelity issues like resolution doesn't really bother me too much. I could play it on my 4K, and maybe I will. Maybe that will change my experience if I go play in the living room, but I don't know. I'm wishing it was 60 frames. So
Hmm.
yeah, if you got it on
Interesting.
PC and you can have a machine that can run it, go for it. I also don't know why it isn't 60 frames. I'm kind of ranting now, but I feel like the Xbox X should be powerful. This game, in the scope that I've seen it in thus far, does not scream like it's a game that shouldn't be able to run in 60 frames, considering that I have played more recent games of larger scale that have been. So I don't know. I don't know their engine. I know game dev hard, et cetera, but they need a performance mode or something. Give me 60 frames.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, at least that means by next episode I'll be able to counteract any points you may have, or maybe I'll hate it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope I'm wrong.
Anywho, all right. So we're finally. I think that's it. All the games. All the games. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was a big what you played section.
Yeah. So what do you guys do? You guys want to tackle highlights from the Horde next?
Yeah, let's knock that out real quick.
Okay. All right. So if you guys don't know our highlights from the Horde section, this is just kind of us going through our collections, picking out an item, and just kind of talking about what it means to us, why we like it, why we love it. I figured this week we could make it a Bethesda themed highlights from the Horde, seeing as how we got a new Starfield game. You won't get another one of these until 2032 when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. So enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's here. So who wants to go first? A Bethesda-oriented item from their collection.
I just talked, so you guys go for it.
Okay. How about Gamer go first? Because we know his item already.
Sure, why not? It's the only item I have. So
It's the only one. He had to check with us to make sure we didn't have
like
it.
it or anything. It's just the only thing I got.
Ooh.
Like, I don't go buying a whole bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, I got the little Pip-Boy thing from Fallout 4.
I don't have that glass cover or the plastic.
It's not glass, it's just plastic.
Ah, I need that.
Yeah, it's a plastic cover. The plastic cover.
But yeah, it's the Pip-Boy.
It's really neat. I remember me and Phoenix got it on the same day. It was pretty
Mhm.
awesome, and we were both on at our job playing with it, and it's kind of corny. It was cool
That's
for what it is.
It's basically a Fallout shelter device.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of neat.
Well, it was cool because you can plug you could put your phone in there and basically would serve as a companion in the game, right? Like you could sync it up to your in-game Pip-Boy, and
Yeah, it was kind of corny.
I'll tell you, it's the only reason I still have it's like iPhone 5 or something. Like it's the last iPhone that fit inside of it, so I've held on to it just in case I ever want to use my Pip-Boy.
Yeah, I forgot how to open this thing up. Oh, there it is.
Yay.
So, yeah, it's been a while, so I opened it up. But it came with a steel case, as you already know.
Ooh, I love steelbooks.
Yeah, you do. It came with a cool steel book, and then Vault Dweller's Guide, which is pretty neat. And I believe a little art book too. Oh, instruction manual for the Pip-Boy, which is interesting. And then the device itself, I think it fit like a Samsung or something.
Yeah, it
Pretty
had a
neat.
couple of like older models that would fit in it.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
pretty
this
neat.
was a really cool collector's edition. I mean, I know it's like
Oh, it
cheap
is.
looking plastic, but I feel like it wasn't super expensive, was it? I don't feel
No,
like at the time it was
oh, it was like
crazy for what
$100.
you got. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people like take that and jazz it up a little bit for like cosplay, like add a little weathering effects and stuff to it, and it looks pretty
Oh yeah.
legit. I think that was one of the main reasons I got it. We're doing a lot of cosplay at the time. Like, if I ever want to cosplay as a Vault Dweller, that's the easiest way to get started. Get that thing, clean it up, or not clean it up, but dirty it up a little bit, and there you go.
Yeah, it's really neat. I think it's really cool. I like how all the knobs move and stuff, and it's kind of like kind of cheesy. So
Neat.
I didn't realize that. Oh, there's not a light that turns on top. Oh, I thought it did.
I think that came out when I was
Kind of neat.
working crappy part-time job, so I probably couldn't afford to get one. I ended up getting one off of Phoenix, I think, for cheap.
Yeah, I found it at a pawn shop, like $30 or something.
Yeah, I think I
Oh,
that's
nice.
probably what I paid for you for it, probably 20 or something.
Yeah.
What's funny is I remember this. This thing was like people were pissed off. People were really pissed off getting this item. I think they weren't
Really?
like. I remember it being like difficult to find or whatever.
I hate to say it,
I remember it was hard to get. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the Starfield one I'd be more mad at getting. Like at least that's like a fun little device. Like you're getting a watch with the new one. I'm like, I would never
Is that
want to
what it
work.
is?
It's a watch.
Is that what?
Apparently in Starfield you get like a watch that does a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and like it's just like if I'm getting a watch, I would love to wear it, and I would never wear a collectible like
Is
that
it
around.
is it like a smartwatch?
It's like a full
Or is
function.
it just like
It's a normal watch, I think. I don't know. I
It'd
don't
be
want
cool
to.
if it was
if
like
it
a
was like a
smartwatch.
yeah, if it was like an Android smartwatch or something,
Oh,
that'd
I'd
be
be
kind
more
of cool.
I don't
I'd
remember
probably
for
wear that.
sure.
I'm not a big watch guy, so I don't know.
Me
But
neither. If it doesn't have a leather strap, I can't.
Also got my Fallout watch.
oh, look at you.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm cool.
All right, so
Anyway, that's my stuff.
let's move over to me. So I'm gonna show. Now this isn't. I don't think it's that crazy, but it's something I've always loved the look of it. Phoenix probably knows what I'm gonna show. But I got my Oblivion, my collector's edition. I always loved the case because for some reason all the stuff inside reminds me of Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I always like it because you can kind of see.
That game is so awesome.
It
Like,
is.
I love Oblivion.
care.
Yeah.
It just like the box to me just screams Lord of the Rings. So I've always kind of loved it, and I don't know. I think I got it at a pawn shop. I think it was a Salvation Army for like $5 or something. But yeah, it came with a bunch
I'm
of.
sad 'cause I have that edition, but I don't have the outside cover.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So nice.
It's cool though. Comes with a whole map of Cyrodiil and all that stuff.
Ooh,
You can see the entire.
As he shreds it.
crunch.
I'm trying to be super careful.
Let's see if I can scare him.
Yeah, came with
Look for you,
that.
Chaz. Just cover your face.
And it came with like this really cool dude. This is like it literally is like a Lord of the Rings book. It's got like
That's so cool. Is that like the lore?
yeah, it's like all the lore. It's good. They have like artwork.
It's like it's one of the books you could actually find in the game or something, like a collection of the books. Like it's cool.
And like
That is
it's like a
awesome.
full-fledged like book. It's cool. It's like carrying Lord of the Rings around. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's a great game. I haven't played that game in forever. The only thing I remember from it is the what was it? There was this. I remember this. One of my favorite side quests was you come across this guy that's painting and he goes missing or something, and you find him inside.
So good.
You find him inside the painting.
The paint world.
Yeah, and the paint monsters attack you and stuff.
I know this is our main topic, but spoiler alert: Oblivion, my favorite Elder Scrolls. It's so good.
I don't know. I love Skyrim, but they're both top tier.
We'll argue that in a few minutes. But.
What else do I remember? I remember stop in the name of whatever the guardsman would stop you. All right, so let me put all this away. I'll switch over to Phoenix. Let him while I put all this away. Ew, gross.
So I got this actually relatively recently. By recently, probably in the past year or so. But I remember when this game came out, I wasn't real big on it. It was my first entry into the series. I don't know how much I was going to enjoy it, so I didn't get the collector's edition.
Dishonored?
And I hated myself for it. No. Oh, I do have that. I should have showed that. I have the whole was it Corvo mask? But it's actually.
I thought that's what you were going to show was Dishonored or something.
I might show that one too, but no, I'll say that for later. But I was really sad I didn't get this, and I couldn't find it for a really long time. And then some guy on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp had it for like $30. It's the Fallout 3 lunchbox.
I remember that. I remember that.
Cool.
I don't know. I just always loved the lunchbox. It's good, solid metal. What's in here? I don't remember. I got a bobblehead. Okay. And it's got the game, of course. What else is in here?
It's a mess trying to put all this back.
I know. I say, but these collector's editions are opening up like 1,000 things. What's this? Holotape. Oh, I forgot I had this. So it's got like a making of the game holotape. So it's a DVD.
That's neat.
And then you got your standard art book in here. So it's all the lovely green wasteland sketches and monsters and man, some good stuff in here. I'll tell you, I love Fallout 3. It's still my favorite one. It was my
So
first
good.
entry into the series, which I know for some is blasphemous. They'd say a true Fallout's, Fallout
No,
1 or 2, but
I think Fallout 3 is the
um,
best one, in my opinion.
I can certainly understand the argument for those who prefer, New Vegas
Vegas,
or
yeah.
something. But there's something about 3, just the way it starts out, the tone of everything. Yeah, I'm sure some of the systems are a little more neutered than Vegas, but I'm a sucker for atmosphere.
Hmm.
Even sometimes that will like trump certain game systems as long as like the atmosphere is good, the environmental storytelling, that can go a long way. And
It
3 was
helps.
just like chock full of it.
It helps that that game starts you off with Megaton and that whole branching quest, or not even branching, that whole quest line. It just like it sets the mood for like how that game is gonna go because you're like, oh, did I just kill all of these people? Or
I tell you,
You did.
Bethesda has typically always been really good about having a really good, strong opener, right? Oblivion, you're getting out of the jail cell.
mm-hmm.
Skyrim, the dragon attack at the beginning. I think that's what's made me so sad about Starfield. You do not get that big dramatic opening.
Hmm.
Like, I won't spoil anything, but it was a bit of a bummer for me
Really?
not to like. You didn't have that moment of coming out of the vault for the first time. It's just I don't know, a little lackluster, but
Well, it's
I'll
even
leave it.
like
I'll leave it there.
Dishonored. Dishonored. I remember the first one starts off with, doesn't your king get murdered or your boss gets murdered right at the
Yeah,
beginning?
the queen or something. Yeah, and you're like having to help her daughter. I mean, I can remember. It's been a while since I played Dishonor,
But
but
like even a game
yeah.
like that starts out, and even Prey starts out with that whole. Isn't that? Don't you like fly over the city, the fake city or something?
Oh, Prey is one of the best open. The new Prey is one of the
Yeah.
best openings of like any modern game
You're
in the
like
past like
flying
10
over a
years.
fake city or something, and you're like, you see like the
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, some of these are, like Arcane. They're not all Bethesda game studios. So that's something to keep in mind about some of these other games we're talking about. They are not BGS, they're Arcane or whatever. So different teams doing different things. It's all ZeniMax Publishing, so
Mm-hmm.
it's all Bethesda IP kind of stuff. But anyways, I digress. We can go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
But I like my lunchbox.
Okay, so we're moving on now to speedrun news. Let me get this going. Forgive me for I hate to say it. I didn't read. I know the topics, but I didn't I didn't really get to like blast through go
Terrible,
through them.
terrible host.
So real quick, one thing we let me go ahead and hit the start button. Here we go. I got to watch a portion of this. Did you guys? We'll start with topic number one. Did you guys get to watch the Super Mario Bros. Wonder event?
Yes.
It looks good.
It looks
I
really good.
Yeah, I'm digging this. I don't know how big you are on it, Chaz, but
I
it
think it looks
looks
fun.
like uh, it looks fun. It's starting to move a little bit away from the new Super Mario Bros. Style, which I'm happy about. I was tired of that, so the art style I'm digging. It kind of feels like a real modernization of like Super Mario World, and I
Yep.
love
Oh,
Super
that
Mario
went away.
World. Um,
Can't do
Like
that.
the item thing, like having the secondary item,
yeah,
third
the way you can
item.
switch
Ooh.
items,
I like the
and
double
just the
wall
art style
thing
is
they had
nice.
going on. Like
Hmm.
that weirdest, like you grab that wonder flower and everything just starts moving
One
and
thing
gets
I
trippy. It's
one
like, oh, that's cool
one
as heck.
one thing I didn't tell Gamer about, but a Mario game. I'm normally not a huge Mario. Like I like Mario games, but they're not my favorite. I actually recently got to play. What was it? Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. That like box thing.
Hmm.
3D
Yeah.
World is like so freaking good. I
Oh yeah.
loved that game. Like,
The world's
Yeah.
fantastic.
which is crazy because I normally don't like love Mario games. No, they're like to me they're like dumb fun, but I don't know.
I don't know, man. Some
I,
of those
I always
levels,
like a
man,
good
they get
Mario.
when they make those levels, some of them, man, they're just priceless. I
Yep.
don't know what the hell.
But yeah, I thought this
I really like
presentation did a great job. We're good.
the multiplayer stuff towards the end. I know I'm jumping way ahead, but when they show how you can interact with like the ghosts of other players, and then you don't just
Mhm.
see the other ghosts, like you can help them out and like I think share items and you earn little points. Like that's a fun little system to I think keep you going a little bit longer in these games and let you interact with people in an online way that typically Mario games just straight up have never had before. So
Similar to like
assuming that works well.
Yeah.
Yoshi's Island 2. What was it? The babies where they'd go wah 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 until you pop their bubble or whatever.
Yeah. This just has that fun, quirky charm. Like, I mean, jumping on a Yoshi as a giant elephant, like just weird, fun stuff like that. It looks good to me. My daughter's gonna love playing this. I like to. They have a bunch of easy accessibility options in there. Like certain players can just be Yoshi if they straight up don't want to die, pretty much. So my
Yeah.
daughter could be Yoshi. I could have a different experience playing as Mario or something, and just we both have a good time together.
I'm
So
definitely gonna
looking
play
forward
it.
to it.
The only problem is that when it comes out, I'm probably gonna have to wait on it because I've
Same day Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, and I also want to play Alan Wake too. As much as I dislike
Mm,
the digital only aspect of it, I love the first game. Like I really do want to play that one. Plus, I got to play a spooky game around spooky season.
fair enough. Yeah, I'll have to balance this out with Spider-Man. But Spider-Man personally, I play like, late at night when the fam's gone to sleep. So when my daughter's awake, we'll play Mario. When she goes to sleep, Spider-Man. So I'll make it work.
At least with Spider-Man, that's probably only going to be 20, 25 hours. That's not going to be something super crazy. Okay, so moving on to topic number 2. So basically, this has kind of gotten everyone kind of riled up, but basically, including me, I think I'm lucky enough that I think I re-upped just before this happened. But basically, Sony is raising the PlayStation Plus prices by almost, what is it? Looks like $40 per year, almost on cheapest tier is going,
The
or
cheapest
it
tier is
says
going from
20,
60 to
so
80.
20.
Yeah, so up to 4. So
Up to
yeah,
40. Oh wow. Service Essential plan will go up from 60 to 80. The extra plan 100 to 135. Premium plan from 120 to 160.
120.
Sheesh. The new pricing goes in
Jesus.
effect on September 6th. So
That's probably
tomorrow.
So tomorrow for us, yeah.
oof.
Like I don't know how much you guys have been getting out of it. I don't use the service much. I actually I think I accidentally renewed because I had my card set to like
That's the same
recurring
thing.
billing. So I've
Mine
got
mine renewed a couple months, like a month or two ago, and I'm like, oh, I forgot.
yeah.
And that was like
I
a
mean, I'm
hundred
glad. I
hundred
guess I'm
bucks.
glad I did because it's about to go up. So if I was going to renew, now's the time to do it. But I haven't been getting a lot out of the systems. I mean, once again, your mileage is always going to vary. But I felt like for the most part, all these tiers were already kind of teetering on being worth it. Like the essential tier, I get for most people. Like you want the basic package, you get the free games, you get a standard library. That's not bad for 60. For 80, that's starting to push it. And then the other tiers that I think offered very slim appeal for a lot of people, like they'd have very few like classic games on there, very
Mm-hmm.
few I don't remember what the premium all offered. They were the ones that had a few PS2 games or something like that. But the offerings just don't justify it. $160?
It's a lot.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a lot.
Especially when you have Game Pass, which I know Game Pass is increased and gone up too, but
And
you get
not
more
that
out of Game
much.
Pass.
Not compared to
Yeah.
this. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what their rationale is here. If they really think this is a necessity,
Well,
if they're trying to
they're
make up because there aren't enough people in a certain tier, and they're trying to, make up for the loss of people. I don't know.
Well, their rationale is Sony says the price hikes will allow the company to continue bringing high quality games and value added benefits to the service. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So their rationale is, hey, this lets us make expensive games. Yeah. It also doesn't have
Yeah,
that. I don't know, but if you guys saw, but apparently what is it, the 2 or 3 free games you get per month or whatever, they announced that like the first game that going up is the new Saints Row. You gotta go. But yeah, I mean, Gamer has a lot of experience with the new Saints Row, so I'm sure.
Give or take. I kind of I kind of teetered off from it.
Yeah. I know a lot of people
Kind of
are
go off.
a lot of people are just saying it's kind of kicking the nuts when it's like, so you increase the price, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden the first free game is also this game that kind of was panned. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of trashy to be honest.
I mean, I get it. I don't want to. You know what? I don't even want to say I get it.
Like
I.
I'm looking at like what the differences are, and
Mhm.
it's really what. So you get cloud streaming. That's cool, I guess. But that's really all. Like you just get essential, and you should be fine.
Honestly, honestly, unless you're someone who plays a ton of games like some of us, and you're like wanting to have access to random games that you're never gonna play, I don't really see the benefits of having one of the higher priced values. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the point of it.
it's also not like Game Pass where like at least with Game Pass, you're getting access to first-party Xbox games. But
Yeah, I've been liking it a lot actually. Game Pass has been great.
yeah,
I just like seeing it and be like, oh cool, I can play that game. Awesome.
yeah,
Like I like Sea of Stars. Like I'm like, oh sweet, I get to play that thing just came out like
yeah.
a few days ago.
I get
Hell
to
yeah.
I get to play Starfield on PC tomorrow, so it's like,
I know, right? Oh, that's true. I get to do that too.
yeah, no, you get to play Starfield if you want. You know,
It's like,
it's
oh,
to
you
me,
know,
it's totally worth it, and
yeah.
I don't know, I just don't see the benefit. I don't see. Obviously the only benefit goes to Sony, but
Yeah. It's gotten pretty crappy over the years. Like I really enjoy like having, the old school, like, here's a bunch of games you can play. Every month you get 3 new games. Oh, that's cool. That's great. I like that. For the last like few years, it's I've had no interest in anything that they had
even
to offer.
I hate to say it, even the Nintendo one seems like a better proposition at this point. Like
Well, they keep putting up
they keep putting
they
up
keep
retro
putting things
games.
up.
Yeah.
Like now, like I think they're about to put up GameCube games. I'm like,
Ooh.
ooh. I'm like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mind if I do. Like that's enticing. Granted, like I pay for like the higher thing for a Nintendo, which at first I didn't think that was going to be worth it, and then yeah, it became worth it. And then eventually I just got the family plan. I said, screw this.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that for me and my wife. I said, hell with it. And it's been worth it.
Mm.
I like getting all the weird ass games.
All right, so real quick, we're gonna move on to our next speedrun topic. One thing we didn't get to cover, seeing as how we haven't been on in about a month, but if you guys don't know, the classic voice of Mario, Charles Martinet, he has basically stepped down as basically the future voice of Mario. Basically, I think Nintendo said that they didn't say what happened. They just said Martinet would be stepping down, and that he would basically be featured as like a Mario and brand ambassador, which whatever that means. Now, we won't linger on that. This is kind of old news at this point, but other updates. Basically, during an interview with Martinet, he basically said that he doesn't know what a brand ambassador for Nintendo even means. He doesn't know what it is yet. And basically, through this conversation, like he didn't say anything definitive, but it's sounding more and more like it wasn't exactly a mutual. It wasn't exactly a mutual thing. Him stepping down. It's seeming almost as though, as Nintendo said, "Thanks, Charles, for your hard work. We're gonna move on without you." Now,
Yeah,
now,
totally.
granted,
Mhm.
like that isn't definitive, but just in my opinion, the idea that he doesn't even know what a brand ambassador is, and he's just like he's trying to play the high road of him. He's just like, okay, yeah, I'll be brand ambassador, whatever that means. Sure, okay. Um, I don't know. What does it sound like to you guys? Do you agree? I don't. It all sounds kind of fishy to me. I don't.
Nintendo will be Nintendo. Like they do what they do, and that's it. Like if they're just trying to like phase him out because he's old,
Mm-hmm.
the guy's what, 80? No, 70 something.
No, yeah, probably about that.
Yeah, like
I mean, this is speculative, but I mean, Nintendo's clearly trying to take Mario in a bit of a different direction right now with like the
Mhm.
movies and some of the other stuff. So this is kind of a time where they could rebrand him a little bit. I mean, they got so much flack for not using Martinet for the movie. If they just nix them all together, I don't know. Maybe that's
Kind of cynical,
conspiracy
but
theorist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's really the case. But I mean, this guy's been doing it for what, over 30 years now.
Oh,
So
he is the voice. Like everyone knows him for voice of Mario. Everyone's gonna know what Mario's voice sounds like.
and as far as
It's
I've
not like
heard,
that gritty old plumber anymore,
eh,
but
as far as I've
fortunately,
heard,
the gritty old plumber came back.
Martinet is a really, really nice guy. So like, it almost seems as though he was just like he's the stapler guy from The Office, where they like keep moving him into different areas of the office, and he's just like, okay, but
He's gonna light the Nintendo
my
headquarters on
stapler.
fire.
He's like, okay,
Oh no.
all right, Martinet, we're gonna put you in the basement now. Oh, but my stapler. I don't know. He
Big
just
stapler.
he just seems like he's kind of rolling with it. He's just like he's probably thinking like you're saying. I'm older. Like if they don't want me around, I'm not gonna fight anybody over it. It's like I'll make
Yeah.
people happy. He's still gonna make money going to conventions and he'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I don't think we should read too negative into this. I mean, honestly, use this as an opportunity to celebrate the guy's career, regardless of why he's stepping down, whether it be for personal reasons, or if he's just done, or if it is Nintendo kind of pushing him out. Like, celebrate that he's been Mario essentially for 30 some odd years. He's leaving a legacy behind, and we'll see what the future holds. So,
He's been in
wish
so
him the
many
best.
games. It's awesome. Like
Mm.
it won't change. And if it does, well, we'll see what happens.
They should
Change.
they should go through with what people have been saying forever. Danny DeVito as Mario. Just do it.
No, just now it's open. Chris Pratt can truly be the voice of Mario in everything. Pratt can do the games. Pratt can do the movie. Pratt can do the audiobooks. I don't.
Wahoo! It's me, Mario. Mario. I'm gonna save you, Princess Peach.
Oh well.
All right, moving
Let's
on.
move on.
Moving on to topic number 4. This happened because gamer.
Did you stop the timer?
Yeah,
Did that freeze?
it freezes every time I move off of the the thing,
Here,
the window for some reason.
Might be
That's
a new.
confusing.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is.
basically, this next topic happened because gamer didn't like Saints Row, but it looks like Embracer Group is shutting down Volition Games, which this I don't know. This is really crappy in my opinion. Volition is a company that's been around for like 15, 20 years and has made like a lot of video games, and they made one bad title. And I think one thing that's coming out about this is a lot of people are kind of, I don't know what, it's looking more like Embracer is just like typical. They're a money hungry company who's mainly interested in making money, and it's like they spent money on this developer and they made something bad, so it's like, well, we're gonna get rid of all of them. It's just like,
I think the larger issue. I mean, there's that, but AAA games have bloated up to this just unreasonable level, and the expectations of the profits that are going to come from these games have also ballooned. So, if a game fails, there's just no wiggle room anymore. Like, because here's the thing, not Volition, but Embracer, I'm sure lost quite a bit of money for Saints Row being a subpar game. I mean, is that all Volition's fault? Is that the publisher? I mean, that's a whole different argument, but I'm sure they lost a lot on that game. So, from a business standpoint, it makes sense to cut your losses and move on. So, if you're looking at just pure business, now if they had better structured the game, set better expectations, and maybe framed it differently where it wasn't such a big a loss, maybe that could have done things better. Maybe that's something that was on more the publisher side. Maybe they should have gone in and restructured things, or was it the developer pushing? Like there's so many things here to say, but I think just in general, games have gotten quote unquote too big for better or for worse, and it's not always for the better, right? Just because a game costs more to make does not mean it is a quintessential better game because of it. So I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a wake up call for any publisher or anything by any means. I'm sure they're going to keep kind of going with the same, general MO of more money, bigger games, and just keep that machine going until they go bust, essentially. But that busting day could come sooner rather than later.
it's just like, I agree with that sentiment. I think that's why, unfortunately, that's the outlook that Embracer Group has when it comes to Volition. I know we're over time, but it's just like, dude, this is like a critically acclaimed, big developer. They've made like a ton of games, and they made one bad game. It's like,
but how much? Now, I didn't look at the numbers, so I don't know exactly how much they lost. But if they lost enough, yeah, you don't always get second chances when the stakes are that high. I mean, imagine if you were, and this is once again really hard to frame, but if you were the company who just put out $100 million and you just lost 50 of it, how are you gonna feel?
Or more.
It's not my money.
Yeah, and I'm just throwing numbers out. I mean, I'm sure that's nowhere near the mark. I mean, it could be far more, far less, but I don't know. It is a business. Games are a business, and we've seen that. I think it's become more and more apparent if you kind of see, the more behind the scenes stuff with like the Sony versus Microsoft on the acquisition nonsense and closures like this. Like, it's just what the state of the industry is like, and I think we have moved past sometimes of a game just being a simple, well-funded game without being this have to be major AAA spectacle. There used to be a space for those AA games to kind of live and thrive, like those man-eater kind of games. Maybe that's not even AA, maybe it's single A. I don't know. But point being, as a game should just be that the original Saints Row was not this massive
No.
game that I recall. I mean, it was a GTA clone, I'm sure, with a much smaller budget.
Saints
And
Row
it was a lot of
2 is
fun.
where it took
The game
off
was
too. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, there were different expectations. They, I think, understood what the game needed to be, and this, I don't know, it felt like Saints Row had to be this bigger thing than I think what it ever was supposed to be. So I don't know.
Look
I
at
won't go too far
the
down
people
that,
that
but it's
made
a weird spot the industry's
the
at.
people that made 2 Human were given more chances to make games after that. So times are different. Times are different. I'm
You
thinking
know, with Silicon Knights, didn't they go bankrupt after 2 Human? Because they tried to sue Unreal and they lost?
No, Kingdoms of Amalur, wasn't that their last game? Wasn't that the same
That
company?
wasn't Silicon Knights.
Was it not?
No, Silicon Knights. Oh,
It's
okay,
funny I
I'm gonna
bring that
check
up
who
because
owns
this is
it.
something you've said that like you want to do a video on at some point. Is that whole
Well, it's an
saga?
interesting thing.
I thought Silicon
Are they
Knights
still
made
in
Kingdoms of No,
business?
they're out of business, but I thought Kingdoms of Amalur was
Filed
the.
for bankruptcy in 2014. Did they?
I thought it was the same company.
And maybe you're right. That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember.
Maybe no, maybe you are right. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts developer 38 Studios.
Maybe it's a different. I don't know.
Studios overuses Unreal. I mean, they're popping up in the same articles. Like, I won't go down this.
Nah, we
I just
won't.
remember Silicon Knights was a whole
I was just
whole
joking.
debacle with.
Anytime I
Alright.
get any chance I get to rag on 2 Human, I'm gonna throw it in there. All right, so didn't get to touch on our last topic. It was essentially talking about specifics on the PlayStation Portal. Anybody care about PlayStation Portal? No, not really. Okay.
It's such a weird device. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know who it's gonna be for. Like, who's gonna? I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have any remote connection, you can access it, but it's not like well, it's Wi-Fi. It's not cellular, so it isn't something you're gonna be able to use like on the go, like mobile, very well. So where are you gonna use this at? At home? I think that's the big thing. Is you use it in a room besides where your PS5 is at if your TV's being used. But how often is that?
Get
Um,
into a
are
fight
you
with
gonna
your
use it at
parents.
work? Yeah, like I guess if you were just out away on vacation somewhere in your hotel room
But
when
you
you
gotta
want to
have a
play PlayStation
PS5.
at home on
Mm-hmm.
connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you still need the PS5. I guess what I'm getting at is like there's such a very specific circumstance where I think this is going to be beneficial beyond just using it in your own home. Like anywhere external of your house seems really situational. You're traveling somewhere, okay, maybe, but is that going to really be a better experience streaming your PS5 from across the country to play Spider-Man 2 or get a Steam Deck and play it natively? Like, or Switch even, depending what you're wanting to do. Just very particular. I'm sure there's a person out there who's super into this and is all for it. I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
All right, so real quick, I'm just realizing we skipped over one topic. We didn't. We can touch on it quick, but we didn't touch on our high score Olympics updates.
Ooh,
Basically,
forgot about that.
yeah, kind of just bring it up real quick. We got some scores now. I updated the list, but yeah, since we went live the last time, Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield have basically come out. I can kind of briefly go through it, but it's looking like Starfield for me right now is sitting at an 88 PC and an 86 on Series X, and then MetalGamer Baldur's Gate is sitting at a nice 96 on PC.
Don't forget Armored Core 2. I didn't realize it came out recently.
Yeah, I updated Armored Core, yeah. 87, 86, 80.
So I had... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I heard that game was a little bit more Dark Souls-y at this point.
Armored Core?
So we kept making fun of it, but I think that the game actually did go in that direction. I bought it, but I haven't played it yet. But from what I kept reading, it is hard as heck. So go ahead.
Or go ahead, Phoenix. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so I was looking over the list, and it looks like for the most part, gamers' numbers are all in.
I was gonna say
right?
it's looking like Gamer may be
Yeah.
the winner. because
Well,
I have no
we don't
info
know
on
that.
Hades 2 or Hollow Knight.
so just to kind of refresh everybody, I know we don't have any graphics for this one. So 4 out of 5 of Metal's games are out, and the 5th game has been delayed in 2024. I'm that's pretty much guaranteed. So, depending how we do this, if we like say we all assume that each of us is going to have a game that doesn't make it this year. I'm already pretty
Should we
much
just
in the
leave
hole
out
for
the game? Is
Suicide
that what you're
Squad.
saying?
Yeah, Suicide Squad for me is definitely delayed. I was looking into Hades 2, and this might get you in trouble too. As well, it's going to get me in trouble for Kerbal Space Program. Hades 2, it
Early
says it will come out
access.
this year in early access, meaning you won't get a
Oh.
score.
Ooh.
Which is the same boat I'm in for Kerbal Space Program, so I'm still probably out, but that means we knock one down. Point being, if we do remove a game, Metal's final score right now is sitting at a 90.25. Which is pretty good. Pretty good. I think I averaged your, what, 2
I'm on the
up there,
low end
Chaz?
right now.
Yeah, here, I can do quick math on it real quick. Because you're at the high 85 for Hogwarts and 88 for Starfield, divided by 2. So you're like at 86 right now with 3 games kind of on the horizon. Spider-Man 2 is going to be big for you, though.
Mhm.
I'd be surprised if that's not in the 90s. So you'll be sitting close to that 90 threshold.
I
It
still
really just
think
depends if
you're gonna-
Hades and Hollow Knight comes out.
So if we still leave out Suicide Squad, Kerbal, Hollow Knight, and Hades 2, I still think you're gonna beat me by a percentage.
Well, I don't think we can leave out. We can't leave out both, like because Metal's got 4 out of 5 games, so he chose better. We can only remove one
Oh,
game.
I see.
Yeah, so it really just depends on if we both have 2 games that don't make it this year, or just 1 game. But I think we're actually all like, depending on our averages, we're all kind of sitting in the 90-ish range, depending on which games actually come out. So it's pretty tight. It just depends if all the games end up getting coming out this year.
that
I think I'm
Fire-
kind of SOL.
That Fire
be
Emblem is
honest.
really weighing you down. Well,
That
the
Kerbal
Suicide
really
Squad
messed you
is, yeah.
Yeah, of course, if you pull the Switch or the Tears of the Kingdom into it, it balances out. What's going to hurt me is Kerbal Space Program and Suicide Squad not being more than likely coming out this year with any scores. So, we'll see. This might actually go to Metal. He might sneak out a victory.
But then
I'm gonna
that
make
that
you
still comes
Phasmophobia
down.
with me.
That still comes down to then me and Phoenix's average. So whoever has the lower average, gamer gets to decide whatever that person gets to play. Which both of you are still going to say Elden Ring for me, so.
I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
think you're probably still going to take it. I think the odds of Hollow Knight making it out this year are still decent. And that game won't come out early access, I don't think. So I think you'll get a full release on that. So if you get that, you're pretty much golden. And I will be playing Barbie Horse Adventure. I don't know.
I don't know what he's going to make you play. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Phasmophobia was kind of fun.
No, he doesn't like scary games, yeah.
I know.
That's why he's saying it. Be quiet.
It's okay. We can play
Yay.
it together.
This whole competition was such a good idea. Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so final
Main topic time.
Yep.
Did we make it?
Main topic time. Here we go. So, as we've been kind of alluding to, as Starfield comes out tomorrow, and if you've noticed, this whole episode has been very Bethesda oriented. So we figured it might be fun to do a Bethesda tier list of our favorite IPs that Bethesda has had over the years. So let me move on over. So I got the old school Doom music. I should turn it off, right? I don't know. Well, we can leave it if you guys
I have
don't
it
hear
muted
it.
on my end as long as it's not too loud.
It's not that loud.
I think we had discussed doing like all the games, but I feel like we would be here forever if we did like every Elder Scrolls, every Fallout, all of it. So it'll be a little tough, I think, to move some of these in different tiers, but let's see where we're at. I have not played all of these.
I was gonna say
there's
some I have not even played.
I haven't even touched Deathloop, Ghostwire. Like I haven't touched any of these.
Phoenix is the only one that's played Deathloop. So if you're the only one who's played it, your opinion you get to decide where it goes. I guess if none of us have played it, maybe we should just leave it out, right?
Yeah, we won't rank it.
Alrighty, so starting off things with Hi-Fi Rush. Is this the newest title on here? Other than Deathloop, yeah. This game actually came out this year, so earlier this year. It's a new IP from Bethesda. and this game was pretty popular amongst most people. Like, I felt like it was like in the 80s, you know? A lot of people were enjoying it. So, Hi-Fi Rush, Fiend. Gamer, did you play Hi-Fi?
I saw lots of like people playing. That's it.
Okay.
And it looks super fun. Like it looks super fun.
I had a ton of fun with Hi-Fi Rush. So for me personally, Phoenix, I would say a B.
I'm with B. Yeah.
You're with B?
It's definitely looking at the rest of the IP, not like the pinnacle of it. I was a little, I think, more muted on Hi-Fi Rush than you were.
I liked it a little
which
more
surprised
than you
me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe the music aspect of it didn't quite sync with me all the way through, but it was definitely a fun game, and I think the style was probably the biggest thing. It had a lot of personality, a lot of color, so it was a fun few hours to run through, and it just kind of dropped out of nowhere, so that was nice. Yeah, B. Happy with that.
Okay. Now, moving on to a really interesting one. Is this the oldest title that Bethesda has? Doom? Old school or Doom? Or Wolfenstein. No, Wolfenstein came out before Doom, I think.
Wolfenstein first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would say I don't have much experience with old school Doom, but I have a lot of...
Well, this is Doom as an IP.
That's what I'm saying, is I love Doom 2016. That game's awesome. So that game alone, for me, would have me put it like A or B, I think, somewhere in there. What do you guys... Well, you guys probably have more experience with Doom. A little older.
I like me a good Doom. Like, I mean, they're pretty good.
Did you play 2016?
I didn't play this 2016.
Oh, it's so good. I love that game.
Yeah.
Well, Doom just so iconic, especially when you think about what it was at the time. Like, I think the impact of that game is more important than Hi-Fi Rush. So, I mean, I don't know if this means we need to drop Hi-Fi Rush down at some point, but for right now, I think Doom is higher in terms of, impact and quality. So I'd say A for right now.
One cool thing I love is if you go back and you listen, what's his name? Is it John Romero or George Romero? One of them is an director and one of them is the game. It's George Romero.
I think John Romero.
John Romero.
George Romero, I think, is the director.
The zombie movie.
Name.
The zombie movie guy. Yeah. One cool thing I always loved about Doom is I ended up finding out later on is that all of the music in Doom is like all kind of ripped off from like classical metal music. So like metal songs from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they're just like kind of spoofed over into like new music, which is kind of funny, like Ozzy Osbourne and stuff, or Black Sabbath. Interesting.
Straight up plagiarized.
So you guys say S or A? I was good with
A.
We'll go A.
No. All right. So Phoenix is the only one that's played Deathloop. Where would you say Deathloop goes, Phoenix? This was a newer title, right?
Man.
Came out last year.
Yeah.
Got really good reviews. Did you like it more than Hi-Fi?
I did.
But is it as good as Doom?
I'm trying to think if I really think objectively. It's not as good as Doom. No, it's definitely lower than Doom. I think it's probably going to sit in between the two for me.
So Hi-Fi would put to C.
Deathloop had a... Yeah, I know Deathloop's one of those games that... I mean, it got 10 by IGN. That still baffles me. Like, it was a good game. There was something just awry there during that that review. So, fun game, a lot of fun systems. I did enjoy it more than Hi-Fi. So I guess I'd drop Hi-Fi to C for right now if we're looking at it in comparison to the other ones. I hate to say Hi-Fi Rush is a C because I don't think it's like a mid-game.
I don't think it's a mid-game.
But...
It's like a... Hi-Fi is like borderline. It's like mid, but like just above that, I think. But we don't have like one in between B and C, so I think I'm fine with C.
I mean, compared to some of the other games that are on this list, yeah.
C is a passing grade.
We're gonna have some room to move around.
Yeah, I can see how I could drop.
Yeah. Now this is a series I've never played. Quake. What about you guys?
Quake.
I played some of the old Quakes. Yeah,
that's old school, man. That's old school.
I'll tell you, for me, Quake never had as big of an impact. Like, I definitely had a couple of LAN parties where Quake was, a good time, but
it wasn't no Doom.
That,
like
it was no Doom. It was always in the shadow of Doom for me, and it served a slightly different role. So I mean, I hate to even butt them up like that, but for me personally, I was never in love with Quake a huge amount. So C, maybe.
What about you,
someone's gonna love Quake and hate me for it, but.
C or B?
I mean, Quake is a special game. Like
it is.
That's a. Yeah. I haven't played that.
So you guys fight it out, B or C? How do we
I don't
determine?
It's
know,
hard
that-
too because this is the full IP too. So like with Deathloop, you got one game to base it on, but
Yeah.
Quake, you've got all the history there too.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna call a B on that one because there's a lot to Quake besides just
Phoenix good with a B?
Quake 2.
Yeah, I won't argue it.
Like-
I'll tell you, that's a weird one because that's been somewhat of a dead IP for a little while. They have
Mhm.
not done much
Yeah.
with Quake at all.
There's been rumors that they're
that was one
working
of those-
on. Good.
Hmm?
No,
I
there's
was gonna say,
rumors
that's
that
one
they're
of-
working on the new Quake, a new Quake. It's just.
Oh, are they? I don't even know.
you know.
I know that was one of those games that you can like level edit,
Mhm.
and that was really fun. Like,
Yeah,
you can
it
make
had a
your
really
own.
fun community around it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm okay with B.
Okay. So this is a really interesting one because it didn't the Rage, if you don't know the original or the Rage, I guess both games. I'm only played the first one, but the original Rage, it didn't review particularly well. I had positive memories of this game. I remember really enjoying it. It wasn't like amazing, but for me it was a fun, I think it was like 15, 20-hour game. I really enjoyed it.
I
kind of
remember
long.
not being able to get into it.
Really?
Like I played it for probably 2 hours, and this was a very different time, so I didn't give it maybe a big enough chance. But it didn't hook me right off the bat. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like
Something
I-
about maybe the mechanics were a little weird.
I feel like
Combat was a little
I
weird.
played it at around the time Borderlands was big, and they're both like
Mhm.
wastelandy, kind of like not super serious kind of
Yeah.
shooters. And obviously I like Borderlands more, but I feel like I was just like, I thought it was fun enough. Like for me, I'd say C. I think it's a fun time. I had fun with it. I finished it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember of the little I played, sure. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush level. So good, not great. Kind of right above that mid threshold. I'd be safe putting it there.
I don't even remember how the newer one reviewed. I don't remember anyone who
Never
played
played
Rage
2.
2.
I know it did not sell well because they were giving that game away at a certain point. So I can't imagine we're going to see a lot from that IP for a little while, for better or for worse.
What about you, gamer? Have you played Rage?
I have not played Rage. I'm just hearing about this. I'm like, what
It
game is
feels
this?
almost like it's like Mad Max mixed with Borderlands somewhere
Yeah.
in there. It's a little more serious than those, than
Huh,
Borderlands.
Sounds like it would be a fun idea for a game. But
It's a fun idea, is it? But
But
it's
it
I
not.
think
that one.
I think you kind of hit it, Chaz. Like the time it came out, right around Borderlands, and Borderlands just
Much better.
took off.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like because it had, I think, a multiplayer element to it, the RPG aspect. You had, it had more comedic aspects, especially when you got the 2. I think Rage just kind of got lost in there a little bit,
It almost feels.
and just didn't stand out.
It almost feels kind of Fallouty because you're like a surviving person from a different era. You survive through technology, and you awaken, and the world is all terrible. It's kind of Fallout 3-ish. But yeah. So see.
Yeah, but no RPG element. It's just
Oh
straight.
no, it's just straight shooter.
Great shooter.
So a lot more linear.
I'm good with the C. All right, Redfall F. Moving on to Evil Within.
I mean, yeah, right. We can't
Sure.
do anything else beyond that. I feel sad 'cause I feel like
I feel bad
there's-
for that
yeah,
game, kind of.
Yeah, there might have been a world where there was more there, but in my little bit of time playing with you, Chaz, it definitely did not impress. So
Considering
Or
that's like
Redfall.
that's a current gen title, it's just like, wow, really? Like, I don't know.
yeah, no, it's on the bottom of the barrel, unfortunately.
Quack quack.
Nah, unfortunately. Evil Within. This is a horror franchise that, from what I remember this series was created by the former guy who made like the first few Resident Evil games. Was it Shinji Mikami? Is that his name? I can't remember. I don't know why I remember his name. I think Shinji Mikami. I'll look it up if you guys want to talk.
I know
Metals
Phoenix
are
didn't play those
Japanese
games.
developer expert, so he would know.
I wouldn't know this one.
No, disappointing.
I'm sorry.
I haven't played this because it's a spoopy game, and I can't
Shinji
do spoopy
Mikami.
games.
Spoopy game? Like spooky and poopy at the same time?
Yeah, it's scary.
I was right. Shinji Mikami. He made he actually was the guy behind Hi-Fi Rush, and then he stepped down. Basically, he retired.
Oh yeah, I think
He
I did know that.
retired. Yeah.
I have no frame of reference for these. I haven't played either. I probably never will because I'm a I'm a baby man.
I
So
think I played
I
it.
can't do it.
I think I started the very first game, and I was not digging it.
No.
I don't remember. I would say D, but that's just my opinion. I think I only played maybe an hour or two of the first game.
Can't counteract it.
It never intrigued me.
I started it, and I think I played it a long time ago, so forgive me. I don't know. I'll stick with D. I think they made a sequel.
Yeah, there's an Evil Within too.
Yeah.
I feel like critically they did okay. I don't think either of them were fantastic for whatever reason.
Yeah. All right, so another interesting one, Dishonored. I think I played the first one and only started the second one.
I've only played the first.
I really enjoyed the first one. For me, I would say B, but that's just because I think I liked it more than Hi-Fi and Rage. I don't think it's as good as Doom, but for me personally, I would say B.
I'm trying to think if I liked it better than Deathloop. Probably yes. I think Deathloop has, I don't know, there's definitely a little more there as far as like the time loop system I enjoyed, but I think the general like gameplay loop, like the stealth aspect and whatnot, is a little more fun in Dishonored. So it's definitely B. I'm arguing if maybe A. I'd be fine with either of those, but
if I putting it at A when for me it's only based on one game.
that's fair. I won't argue that. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made because I think better than Deathloop. But what else do we have in there? Quake.
We still got some good stuff in here. I would say B, but so I don't know. What do you want? You want A or B?
B is perfectly fine.
Okay. Because I think that's right. Like on par with like some of the better titles, but better than Hi-Fi and Rage. Definitely better than Hi-Fi and Rage, I think.
I am curious if this is one of those, if we had played both, because I know a lot of people love the second one, especially like the
I love the first
quote
one.
DLC, whatever it was. I know people really loved that, so I'm curious if like we had the big picture, if we put it a little bit higher. But yeah, I think B is safe.
All right, so I think this is my favorite, probably Bethesda series. We are at the Elder Scrolls. For me, I would have to say S, but that's solely off of loving Oblivion and Skyrim. I'm not familiar with like Morrowind or the previous titles. What about you guys with Elder Scrolls?
You'd like Morrowind. It's just a lot more reading.
What's the best way to play that? I have the Xbox version. I'm assuming PC. Just playing the old school PC.
Play PC, man. PC all the way. I don't know, man.
Get some mods, boost it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Man, I really like Elder Scrolls.
I think it's Elder Scrolls. Me personally, it's S. It's my favorite Bethesda series.
Even with all the mess ups, like all the little goofy crap that they messed up with in the games, they're just.
Wasn't Oblivion the first game title to have? Was it horse armor? Is that the first like major DLC?
It was like one of the first like DLC controversies
or whatever. Not scam, but.
I'd say S. Like, that's one of the few up here that I feel like just about every entry is really good. Like, I don't think many people could argue against most of them. I've not played Daggerfall, which was like, what, Elder Scrolls 2?
Isn't that the first one?
Elder Scrolls 1, is it 1? Or no, there's like maybe. There's a battle arena or something, which is like 1 or 2. I always mix those up. I didn't play either of those. But yeah, 3, I played Morrowind. I loved Oblivion. Oblivion's my favorite. Like, I love Skyrim for I think the same reasons most people do, but there's something about Oblivion. Like, it is very special.
Skyrim is
it's got a different tone. Huh?
So Skyrim's probably my favorite, but Oblivion I haven't played in a long time.
Yeah, Skyrim, I think maybe it was just the setting or whatnot. The tone was a little more muted for certain things, maybe. I don't know. There's a quirkiness to Oblivion that I really liked. I don't know. I also spent probably the most time in Oblivion. It was like my first big Elder Scrolls that I had played, so huge fan of that. But I mean, they're all great. Like, Skyrim is great. I mean, no matter how you cut it. I mean, I think Oblivion could be better in my opinion.
They've released that game like 20 times. That's how great it is.
I mean, I think it's overhyped. Like, they overhyped the heck out of
Skyrim.
I love Skyrim though, but
yeah,
they just overhyped it too much, and it doesn't belong in every system. Get out of here. But you know what? Yeah,
it's popular. It's accessible. It's a fun game. It's easy to hop into. Like, I think those are all the reasons. Like, it is an easy game to get into, start a new character, and just start having fun.
Get lost.
Some of the other games I think have a longer kind of get up and going kind of, like even Oblivion I feel like it's a little longer to kind of get up and going. The world is a little harder to kind of get acclimated to at first. So yeah, I mean, they're all great. I agree. S tier.
Just to throw it in, just to kind of keep off the Elder Scrolls talk. What a magical time for me when I first got my Xbox 360. Like, amongst my first titles I played was like titles like Orange Box, Oblivion, the original Gears. It's just like going back, you're just like, oh, like how many great games all at once. Mass Effects, like, I don't know. Incredible time.
Yeah, early 360 generation, some great stuff. I mean, you could argue a lot else came out on PS3 too, but no, I was in the same boat with you.
Okay, so I actually played Prey, never finished it. I wasn't as big on it as Phoenix, but I know Phoenix really enjoyed this one.
Prey.
Was that good?
And I
didn't get to play that at
all. And it's more not even just the gameplay. The gameplay I think is fine. I really liked the story. It's kind of Bioshocky, System Shocky, but like the intro is so good. The ending's good. Like, I don't know. It's a really fun narrative with some really cool twists and turns.
I'd say B.
And some like WTF moments. I want to say A. I didn't play it, but I heard the Moon Crash DLC
I heard
is
it was
like
really good. Yeah,
amazing. Like whatever Deathloop did well, that DLC did so much better.
Well, you
So
finished the game, so
it.
if you say A, I'll go A. I never finished it. I just really liked it. I thought it was good.
I would say A. Like for me, and once again, people want different things at different games. I like Prey as good, if not better than Doom. But that's once again very much personal preference. Very different types of games, but that was a great immersive sim.
Now we have to take into account the original Prey. Does that weigh? No, I'm kidding. We don't. Was that
well,
a Bethesda?
that wasn't even a Bethesda
I don't think that
game,
was Bethesda. Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember. I feel like they bought the IP, and then they were forced to basically throw the name on it. It was supposed to be a completely different game too. I think that's what's interesting about it. Prey was never supposed to be Prey. It was something else. Yeah, they made them throw the Prey name on top of it.
Well, remember, there was technically a Prey 2 that got canned. I remember seeing the trailer for that at like an E3 one year. I remember being like, whoa. Never came out.
That was an early 360 game too, the original Prey.
Yeah. All right.
Indian Alien.
So this one, I have no frame of reference. Hexen. I only know that Phil Spencer, this is like his favorite game. Phil Spencer, he made a joke that he made Microsoft buy Bethesda because he loves Hexen. So, anybody
Metal,
play Hexen?
You ever play Hexen?
Yes, I have.
He's zoned out.
Sorry, man. No, I'm not zoning out. I'm watching my child.
Same thing.
Hexen, man, that's an old game.
Hexen
man.
or your child?
I think that was supposed to be like a Descent type game.
Really? What era is this? This looks like a PC, right? This has got to be 90s PC.
Yeah, that's a PC, strictly PC
90s
game.
PC.
I think I remember being pretty good. But it's been a long time. I'm gonna call it like, man, I can play it safe and put a B because that one was pretty good from what I remember. Okay. I'm just gonna call it.
I would venture to say it's hard to be worse. Anything worse than Hi-Fi Russian Rage? I don't know. I feel like that's like
that's the cutoff.
That's the cutoff. Evil Within and Redfall, once you get DF, that's where it's like, I don't know. All right, so I don't think any of us have played Ghostwire Tokyo.
No, I wanted to. I mean, I heard the reviews were pretty middling on it, unfortunately. It looked really cool, though. I thought the aesthetic was neat. I just heard it was kind of dull and monotonous.
Was that the one with the cell phone hacking and all that nonsense?
No, you're thinking of Watch Dogs, maybe.
Watch Dogs, yeah.
Oh,
no, this one you had like the weird
it's first person
kung fu magic hands. Yeah, you did like, weird symbols and like you fought weird Japanese ghosts. Like the style looked really cool. It was like neon ghost nonsense, cyberpunky thing. Like, it was cool looking.
It's in the same boat as Deathloop, where it's the final games that Bethesda put out before they got purchased by Microsoft. So they had like they had like a PlayStation technically had a, what is it? They were exclusivity for the first year or two of those games coming out. Okay, so moving on to Wolfenstein. I actually really liked Was it the
Which
New
one was
Order?
it? The early 360 one. Yeah, I think it was New Order.
New Order. That one was really fun. So for me, I would say
I still remember the old original
I don't remember
Wolfenstein
them,
too. Yeah,
Who
I like
doesn't
the
like
old
shoot-
one.
Who doesn't like shooting Nazis? Come on, get out of
Yeah.
here.
I would say based off the
It'd be
New
fun.
Order, I really enjoyed that one. But also, there was a newer one with the daughters that I heard was not favorably.
Youngblood, was that
Youngblood.
it? I heard that was not good.
I haven't played it, so I can't account. I count for that one.
I don't like it as much as Doom, so I can't put up an A. I think B is probably safe. I'm hesitant to put it down with C because I know it's got some
I'm
heft
good with
to
C.
it. The name Wolfenstein is kind of big.
Yeah,
Well, I'd say B, honestly.
that's the game.
like,
right
I think-
before, that's like a game before Doom. Oh no, after. Doom.
Yeah,
Or,
I think it was
no,
before.
I think it's
I think
before
it was before
Doom.
Doom. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was before.
I
Doom.
think Wolfenstein as an IP is probably better and more significant than like Deathloop. So
Mhm,
it's
I
at
would
least probably I think on the same level as like Quake. So I think B is probably safe.
So this is interesting. This one, in my opinion, decides whether we only have one S. So we have the Fallout series in general. I'm
So here's what I find interesting about this one. The first two,
the first two.
were not Bethesda.
Not, but yeah.
So I am almost hesitant to even count them. Like if I'm thinking, okay, the Bethesda Fallouts,
plus.
you got 3. You got, now do we count New Vegas?
New Vegas is Obsidian.
Because New Vegas was published, but it was Obsidian. Granted, a lot of these other companies, like Bethesda Game Studios, didn't make all these games. Like Arcane made them, stuff like that, but they're within the same house. Obsidian wasn't. They were kind of brought in as a weird partnership. So if I really think about this, I would almost only say your Bethesda Fallout games are
3 or
3,
4?
4, and 76.
I mean, I heard the
So,
76 got a little
I
bit
guess you got like
better.
Fallout Shelter. But yeah, I've heard it's good now.
So does Fallout?
But you know, if you
How
wrap,
was that?
So does Fallout 3 alone? Can that make it an S? I don't know.
not
Did
on
I
the
do
level.
that?
Not saying it can be a, so it can't be an S for some. I'll tell you, like personally for me,
It needs to be
Fallout
more than
3
one because it's an IP as a whole.
Yeah, if these were individual games, for me, Fallout 3 is gonna either be on par with or better than Oblivion, just because I have like a really big nostalgia for it. Okay, and that's not
Or
objective by
both.
any means.
Four brought that down for me a little bit. Like, if anything,
4
like,
was good.
I really
but
liked
not as
4.
good.
It wasn't as great as 3 though.
No, it
4
was.
felt a little hollow to me. Like there was a lot of wasted potential there. Like the game always felt a little unfinished. Like I remember just like when I went out into like the water, the ocean, it was just like nothing out there. I'm like, they had stuff in older games. You had like the Mirelurk people that could chase you down out there. So like 4 always felt a little off. And then you have all the nonsense with 76. It seemed like it's great now potentially, but it was not at first. So put that how you will. If you want to wrap New Vegas in here, you can. I mean, for many people, that whole package, especially with New Vegas included, that's S tier. And I can totally understand that. I like Fallout as a game typically better than Elder Scrolls in a lot of ways, but really, I am just thinking it's pretty much Fallout 3 kind of holding up the whole thing for me. That can't compete to Oblivion
I
and
agree.
Skyrim and Morrowind. So if you want to put S, I don't blame you. I'm going to say A.
I would say A. Plus, it's kind of nice. Just I don't know. It's nice. I think having the one
have
S.
one superior game, yeah.
Yeah.
I said I could
it
definitely get the argument.
This
Would,
argument,
it would be fun.
it's the biggest. I think it's the biggest argument when it comes to Bethesda. Is do you prefer Elder Scrolls or Fallout? That's always the thing people always say. Is most people enjoy one more than the other. I personally love both of them, but I do agree. I think I like the fantasy aspect of Elder Scrolls a little bit more.
I think what may shift this around too, if you do look, like I said, I kind of excluded 1 and 2 from this because those were not Bethesda games. That was, oh man, I can't remember. Interplay?
I
Is
think
that
it
what the
was-
original Delver?
They were the top
I mean,
ones.
now, if we include those in it, now I might be swayed.
I've never played those, so
I didn't play much of 1. I played a good amount of 2, and that was really no, I did. Well, I played 2, but it was way after I played.
those are
3,
more like
so it was kind of weird.
Those are more like Diablo games, right? Style, not like exactly.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they're
They click
different.
to
I mean, they're-
attack and click.
yeah, more RTS style kind of stuff. Well, not RTS, not even that. But point being, I think if you're going to consider those, which I think most people probably would, then I think you could probably put both at S. I think it's probably pretty level playing field. If you say all the Fallouts, no matter who created them, and all the Elder Scrolls. But if I'm thinking just Bethesda, Bethesda has had a hand in every single Elder Scrolls. They have not in every Fallout. So that's my justification.
I just thought about it, but Bethesda doesn't own Obsidian, right? Microsoft owns Obsidian, and they're two separate. So okay, so I'm making sure.
Which is why I said I have a hard time counting New Vegas in this. I mean, that was just like they used the Bethesda engine from 3, but they did something completely different. And Bethesda was not happy either. If I remember, they were not happy with the Obsidian.
Because that would be crazy
process.
if you could add in like you were saying. Oh gosh, what was the? I'm already free. Oh, Outer Worlds, and then like I don't know. Was it the South Park series? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It'd be interesting times.
Obsidian. Man, we should bring Obsidian games one day because there's some excellent Obsidian games.
Well, they have like Pillars of Eternity, and they have all sorts of like crazy RPGs.
Yeah. No, I would tell you, I think a lot of people in this camp. I think Obsidian makes some better RPGs in a lot of senses. Like, yeah, you got the Elder Scrolls here, which I think helps hold up Bethesda, but man, Obsidian does some awesome stuff.
They're gonna have
world.
They're gonna have the next Elder Scrolls like game out before Elder Scrolls with Avowed. Avowed is supposed to be like a Elder Scrolls Light kind of, but yeah. So I don't know. That's our list. Hopefully everyone can enjoy Starfield tomorrow. I know the official release is out, and I'll get to start playing it. What do you guys think of Bethesda IPs? We'd love to know if you hated any of our selections or you'd move anything anywhere else. So we are done with our main topic. So what do you guys have going on? So I think we're transitioning to once a month. We're going to try to make that.
Well, that is only my schedule. So my work schedule is going to keep me and prevent me, I think, from doing this, bi-monthly like we were doing. So, or however
if Gamer wants, I'm down for 2 more weeks. I mean, I know he was kind of busy as well.
I'm once a month.
It's up to you. We'll see. We'll give it 2 weeks, Gamer, and if you, I'll reach out.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We can strictly just talk. We can just have a whole Final Fantasy 16 chat. I don't know. You'll get to.
There you go. You won't have me ruining it for you,
or us ruin it for you.
Oh, it's already been ruined for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's why I'm trying to ruin Starfield for you before you can get started.
No.
So what can I say?
Tomorrow morning he's gonna.
Whatever.
You can play right now. It's past midnight.
No, I gotta work at.
You don't need to sleep.
5 hours. Or 5.5 hours.
What's sleep?
Yeah. So what else do we got going on? I've been wanting to cover one of these movies with Phoenix or with you guys at some point. I know I still need to watch the new Spider-Verse. There's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie out. I'm shocked we haven't been able to talk about either of those.
I've seen both.
There's Ahsoka. I haven't gotten to watch that.
I watched part of the first episode tonight. It's okay.
There's a new freaking One Piece TV show out. We haven't even talked about. I don't know.
Oh boy.
I'll reach out to Phoenix. I definitely would like to talk about one of those movies. At least Spider-Verse or something. I haven't gotten to see it. Alright, so, I don't know. What did you guys think of the episode? Hopefully we were able to entertain you with all the Bethesda talks and everything. So I think next episode, or not next, maybe the first episode of October, that'll be before we get to go to Halloween Horror Nights. I think we're kind of planning, so we'll have to do something special for that. What is that? That's the 5th or 6th episode. We'll come up with something. All right, guys. You guys got anything to say before we head on out?
No.
Sleep.
Nighty night, everybody.
Bedtime. I can feel it. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. We love you. On screen, of course, there's audio locations, and also hit us up in the social medias. Let us know what you liked, and I don't know. We will see you guys on the next one. So, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye bye.